Hello and welcome to another episode of The Grindbin. I'm Mike Wood.
I'm Chris Mann.
Today we're going to be talking about 1992's Mikey.
The original problem child.
Hey, Bobby, I got the money.
Yeah, I made the team. But you're a hooker.
Get that goddamn thing out of your mouth.
Spooky ain't got no real coach.
Hello, Mr. Man.
We're gonna play a little game, baby.
I just love fun and games. Get a little girl a little hot and horny.
You could have been decent once in a while. And maybe Daddy would have had to kill himself because he couldn't get it up anymore.
What a shame.
Come on, just step on the gas before we get creepy.
So Chris, Mikey.
Oh boy.
Now, at one time we said we were going to do like a Killer Kid month. I think we're just going to do like a Killer Kid anthology. Over time, we'll cover all the Killer Kids movies there are, because there are quite a few, and this one is this one's a real classic, I think.
This one I didn't know existed, to be honest, and I wish I knew about it when I was younger. I would binge the shit out of this.
This movie is crazy.
Yeah.
So Mikey is pretty tough to find. I have a copy on VHS. I bought this movie years and years ago at a video store just randomly, and somebody told me like, "Oh, you should definitely get that one." And so I picked it up, brought it home, and was like, "What the fuck?" Now you can only find it on YouTube. There's a couple versions people have uploaded, or very difficult to find DVD of it is like super limited print. On Amazon, used copies range anywhere from $40 to over $100 for this movie. But go check it out on YouTube.
Someone do like a good quality rip of this, please. The audio was out of sync on the one that we saw, but...
Well, I gotta say, if a movie's out of print and you can't find it, then there's really no problem in watching it if somebody uploaded it to YouTube, because, hey, what the fuck? Release it so I can buy it. I'll fucking buy it if I can.
Thank you.
Well, I already own it. I own a VHS copy of this, so... now, you might wonder, though, why it's hard to find. Well, this movie has a certain amount of controversy around it. Chris, this is one of the very few films that is still today banned in the UK.
I believe it.
It's not banned in the Republic of Ireland, but you can't buy this movie in the UK. It was banned all those years ago in 1992 when it was made, and they just, because they never really re-released it, never sent it in for reclassification. So at this point, you cannot buy this. It's on the Video Nasties list. You cannot get Mikey in the UK.
Just to think this movie is right up there in England with The Evil Dead.
Oh, really? Yeah, well, this movie, the content of this movie is shocking. Yeah. In so many ways, very, very shocking.
Can you imagine a made-for-TV version of this movie? Like, what is the TV cut? Like, the TBS cut of this?
Okay, well, I said in multiple parts in my notes here that if you were to re-edit this just a little bit and change the musical score, it'd be a completely different movie.
Oh, it'd be a
you
comedy.
could make it like a drama about a kid just trying to find his home. And
no, I'd make a fucking comedy out of it.
You could make a comedy. Yeah. But this movie, I mean, this is like, you take a movie like The Good Son and it like bitch slaps The Good Son. It's like, oh, you think you're fucking bad, huh? You think you have a killer kid in your movie? Oh, you ain't seen nothing yet. I mean, I'd watch this movie again now, and I haven't seen it in years, and I remember it being pretty crazy. But I watch it again today, I'm like, holy shit! Towards the end of this movie, I'm like cheering, like going like, no fucking way that this is going down. So spoilers for me, this is a highly recommend for me.
Me too. It does have a slight pang of made for TV, but like in the worst violent sense, in like an alternate reality where this is just the normal fare of violence on TV.
This would be like if you took like a Hallmark Channel movie about an adopted child, but then added in the fact that he's a psychotic murderer, and also a bunch of like terrifyingly weird pedophilia to it. Then you have Mikey.
Yep, exactly.
The reason this movie was banned in the UK is because of the James Bulger case. And on the advice of 3 child psychiatrists, this movie was rejected for a UK video certificate in 1996 by the BBFC. It has never been resubmitted. James Bulger, if you don't know, now this is pretty much before you and I could remember anything. This was in 1993, so we were even younger than Mikey at this point.
This isn't Whitey James Bulger, is it?
No.
Okay.
James Bulger was a boy from Kirkby, England. He was murdered on the 12th of February, 1993, at the age of 2, he was abducted, tortured, and murdered by two 10-year-old boys.
Oh, my God.
Robert Thompson and John Venables. Bulger disappeared from the New Strand Shopping Center near Liverpool while accompanying his mother. His mutilated body was found on a railway line 2.5 miles away. 2 days after his murder, those kids were charged with his abduction and murder. So, fresh off of that case, this movie was denied from being released in the UK because apparently they think that I don't know, an R-rated movie meant for adults is going to inspire children to go out and murder. Oh, I mean, it's a horrible case.
Yeah.
But what's kind of funny is that this movie almost posits that violence in movies could cause a kid to go insane.
You're right.
Because there's a lot of it in this movie.
Yeah.
And it's kind of bizarre that there's so much of that. Like, it seems like it is trying to make a comment on that in some ways.
Yeah. Like him watching videos of himself.
Yeah, we're going to get into that.
Oh, yeah.
And then also his, like, weird obsession with, like, horror movies and war movies. And it's almost saying, like, yeah, you got to watch what your kids watch. Also, by the way, this stars a kid. Don't let them watch it. So let's get into the cast and crew here, Chris.
Yep.
Dennis Dimster, who's the director of this movie, he started his career as a child actor. He didn't murder anyone, but he appeared on TV shows like Charlie's Angels, Beretta, and The Incredible Hulk. In 1990, he started directing movies, his first being Cat in the Bag, which there is literally no information for. Not even a cast listing. Can't find out anything about that one. 1992, this was his second movie, and then nothing until 2001 with a movie called Cold Heart, which is classified as an erotic thriller. But he did go on to direct 78 episodes of a TV show called Desire and 50 episodes of a show called Wicked Wicked Games. And then 2009, directed a movie called Double Identity with Val Kilmer, and then 2016 he's directed a movie called The Living, which he also stars in, which is about a couple having like some sort of miscarriage and then moving into a house and like some sort of demon or something. It's right up there with Mikey. I have to check that one out.
One Blaze.
Jonathan Glassner, who's the writer of this movie. Now you're going to be interested in this one. He has 21 credits with tons of TV shows. He started out by writing an episode of the Pat Morita show called O'Hara, which we talked about before.
Yep.
I'm going to repeat this. This is the tagline for this show. He doesn't drive, he doesn't shoot, he doesn't punch, he doesn't lose. O'Hara, the uncop. So, as we theorized before, I guess this is a show where Pat Morita literally just sits at his desk and answers phone calls and goes, oh, well, I'm not going to go take care of that.
Yeah.
I'm the uncop. Do you think the chief ever came over to him at one point and goes, Pat, we got to talk here, bro.
I mean, these papers are filed, so meticulously and flawlessly, but your police work.
Pat, we know you don't shoot, you don't punch, you don't drive. What do you do? We're trying to figure out what it is you do, Pat.
You think it's one of those, like, clerical errors where he was just like a job shadow? It's
just like the chief's like, Pat, we don't encourage the use of firearms, but at some point, you think maybe one's gonna go off. Some guy's gonna get shot at some point, right?
Yeah, you know what? Put it in your hands. Feel how. See how it feels. Feel that flow in the arm. Yeah, feel that. Now give it a squeeze. Give it a squeeze. See that? That's Doris. She's not the best one. Just give it a squeeze there.
So then he went on to write a couple episodes here of 1989, Freddy's Nightmares, 1990, 21 Jump Street. I wrote a couple of those. 1984, wrote some Outer Limits. 2003, wrote some CSI Miamis. But he is most well known for creating the TV show Stargate SG-1, as well as all the Stargate TV shows that followed. So he had a very successful career. There was like hundreds of episodes of that show that I've never seen. Love the Stargate movie.
Yeah.
Never seen the show.
I've heard stay away from Atlantis.
Oh, well, he's SG-1.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not sure if
we're
that's
in good
the
shape
same.
then. We are in good hands.
Okay. So let's move on to the cast. Now, you might remember him, Chris, from somewhere. Did this kid look familiar to you? Brian Bonsall?
Yeah,
Bonsall
I've seen him
plays
around.
Mikey.
I've seen him around, and I know of the name too in music. So
music.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. You're going to have to give me that one. All right.
Okay.
23 credits, but he's most well known as Andy Keaton on Family Ties. And for 1994's Blank Check, he is Preston Waters, the main character in that movie.
That's right.
Now, Blank Check was made after this movie. You think those executives over at Disney was like, hey, get that, who's that kid that murders the people? Yeah, get him in here. We want him to do an audition for this movie about getting a blank check.
Let him do a read-through. You know, the funny parallel in those two movies is that he does fall in love with an older woman in Blank Check as well.
Yeah, we need some kid who falls in love with an old broad. What's that movie we saw the other weekend with that fucking kid that shot that guy with the arrow?
I think it's Mikey, sir.
Yeah, get that kid. Get Mikey in here. His name's not Mikey. He comes into the audition. He's like, love your work, kid. Love your work. Say some of those one-liners for the movie for me. You know what's really sad, though, is that the bad guy in Blank Check just died the other week.
Oh, no kidding.
No, I saw it. I was really upset by that. He was great in that movie.
Yeah.
He was also in Traffic, a couple other movies. He was really great. I believe his first name was Miguel.
That's right. Yeah, I do
Very
recall
underrated character actor. But I always remember it's like Blank Check was a movie I loved as a kid.
Yeah.
Like that was hit me right at the right time, I'd guess.
Was he the same character that has that catchphrase, war, it's fantastic? I can't think of the film.
Oh, the bad guy from Blank Check? I don't know. Maybe. He might be. He's in a bunch of stuff, but and we don't do him any service by not mentioning his actual name, so
No, we could just
bad on us.
We can get that right now, unlike other podcasts.
No.
You know? Just let it roll is our motto.
Oh.
Let it roll.
That's how we do
We
things here
record
at the bin.
we record this on a tape, so we can't afford to go back and rewind it.
What are we gonna do?
Yeah.
Look up every dead actor. All right, I feel terrible now.
We're gonna go dig him up, Mike.
So let's okay, no, hold on. He stopped acting around 1984, but he's currently in a short that's being filmed. But Chris, you said something about music?
Brian can now be seen touring in the punk band The Ataris.
Really?
Yeah.
He plays in the Atari?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, Chris, if you ever encounter them
I'm wondering
on the road.
I'm wondering if they're playing Hellfest this year.
Holy crap, you got to be
because-
like, dude, loved you and Mikey.
Yeah. No, I'm just going to call him Mikey. I'm going to high five him, slap his ass.
Chris, I don't know if I do that after watching this movie. Josie Bissett, who plays Jesse Owens, who's the sister. The sister. 32 credits, known mostly from 1992 until 1999 as Jane Andrews Mancini on Melrose Place. Never seen that show, but boy, that was successful. 7 seasons of that show. She's still acting today. Ashley Lawrence, who plays Sean Glider, better known as the teacher in this movie. She has 40 credits and definitely most well known for her role as Christy Cotton in the Hellraiser series 1, 2, 3, and 4, I believe. One time I told Chris, I was like, oh, hey, I was at Walmart. I've never seen any of these Hellraisers except one. But I bought this box set for $5, and it's got 6 Hellraiser movies on it. And I bring it home, and it has everyone but one. And I'm like, well, this is a fucking waste of time. It's the only movie I really wanted.
Yeah. That's
Because,
the curse.
you see the other ones, you might just be like, I can watch this for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then...
They've done, I saw that done with the Matrix, actually. They just had the last 2 movies.
Matrix box set. You bring it home, you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
There's no Matrix 1?
Yeah.
Now that's a cock tease if I ever heard one, Chris.
You know what
That's
it was?
terrible.
I think it was called something like everything was like reloaded Revelations. I think it was what's called like the re-edition.
The re-edition.
But it didn't have the first one. It was just the movies with the word re.
Didn't
in
have
it.
the good one. No. Then we get into Grindbin All-Star. John Deal, who plays Neil Trenton, who's the dad in this movie. Grindbin All-Star, Chris, not an episode you were on, though, joysticks. He walked around with an angel hat the whole movie. Mimi Craven, who plays Rachel Trenton, who's the mom. 30 credits, small roles in Nightmare on Elm Street 3. She was also in Swamp Thing, as well as some roles in smaller movies like this one. Seems she has stopped acting around 2002.
Oh.
So before we get into the movie today, Chris, let's take a listen to the trailer.
You're going to have to be very patient with him in the beginning.
Get him placed with adoptive parents as quickly as you can.
They took him away from his real parents. He was abused or something. I don't know.
Who are you?
I'm Mikey Trenton.
Trentons don't have a kid.
Now they do. You don't love me anymore.
That's not a toy.
I know that.
Mikey, no!
I'm calling to inquire about a former student of yours. His name is Mikey Trenton, and he's in the 4th grade.
Pilgrim's bad, so the turkey's fixing him.
Officially, this case is closed.
Mikey, put that down. It's not a toy.
That's what you said.
Hasn't he ever been checked out? Psychologically?
Life is full of accidents.
What are you talking about?
The radio. It's not safe.
Why not?
Don't you know anything about his history?
He's a wonderful kid. He's perfect.
Yeah, he's too perfect.
Stop it!
I've been doing some research into Mikey Trenton's background.
If I had a girlfriend, I'd do anything for her.
I think that there's something very wrong with Mikey. There's something very strange about him. I think that Mikey's in love with me.
He's only 9 years old.
Why don't you like me anymore?
No. Mikey, no!
Dead people aren't the ones to be scared of. Living people are.
I need all the information you can give me on Mikey Trenton. What do you want, Mikey? It's psychotic behavior.
Mikey just needs a good, stable home.
Remember, Jason and Freddy were kids once, too. Mikey.
Wow, if I saw that trailer on one of my direct-to-video rentals at the time, I'd be like, well, sign me up. That's a rent.
Yeah, the end caption, the end tagline ends like a parody.
Remember that Freddy and Jason were kids once? Oh, boy. So, Chris, the movie starts, and you know you're in real trouble when the credits come up and they're in, like, Comic Sans, and you're like, oh
Jesus.
Boy, here we go. And, like, it opens on, like, Mikey, like, lighting matches, and I guess he's lighting just newspaper on fire in this garage or something.
This reminded me of me as a kid, to be honest. This is what I did.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And your mom would come in and go, Christopher, stop!
No, I just lit stuff on fire a lot. Could not
Chris,
help
did you ever find yourself videotaping odd acts that you would perform?
Decline to state.
So he's lighting these fires in the garage, right? And the mom comes in and she puts out the fire and slaps him. She's like, what the fuck are you doing? You're going to be in trouble when your dad gets home. Apparently this is a trend, right? Like this is just a daily occurrence with this child. A real problem child. A real, if he's with John Ritter, if this movie ended with John Ritter adopting Mikey. And then being like, at the end they're like, this kid is a real problem child. He goes, oh, trust me. I got it handled. I got a fucking kid who wears a fucking polka dot bow tie around all the time.
This movie ends with Mikey walking away and Ritter pulling out that polka dot bow tie, and the whole screen fades to black, but all that stays in focus, vignetted around it, is the bow tie. You just hear John Ritter screaming after that.
So we go to the kitchen, right?
Yeah.
And Mikey, he comes in the room and his sister's playing with his doll and he just takes it and he's like, hey, get your doll now, bitch. And he's running around. And at the same time, the mom is like, oh, I've had a rough day. Time to unwind, give myself a little bath here, a little ba-ba-ba. While she's taking this bath, Chris, what she doesn't hear, which is the window right above the swimming pool, she just must be like, oh, I'm so fucking sick of these children. She's just like looking for the nearest razor blade.
I wonder if she lies there thinking, what would be great if just one of them just disappeared.
You know what? Hopefully they can just kill themselves, right?
As she pops that Ambien and sips that wine, one of them just disappears.
By the way, very irresponsible parents. They have a young daughter and they don't have a gate around the pool, so they're just asking for it.
At first, with everything that happened, I thought this was filmed in the 80s. I thought this was like the Reagan years going on.
92. No. We were in like what?
Yeah, I didn't
Bush
know
while this movie was being
I had
filmed.
no idea this was in the 90s. I thought it was the 80s.
Yeah, 92, baby. So Mikey's just running around that backyard, around the pool with this doll. And then he's just like, hey, bitch, you think this doll can swim? And he just like tosses it in the water, and she's like, you're a dick. And she goes out on that diving board, Chris.
Yep. Well, Mikey decides, no, it'd be fun if I jump on this diving board while she gets it. So she's like on her hands and knees crawling for this doll that's drowning. And like
drowning.
Well, and yeah, because the doll drowns. Because the
it floats, by the way.
Yeah. So she reaches down, tries to get it. Little Mikey is jumping up and down on this thing, and
with like this stone, like this look on his face. He looks like just no emotion.
Yeah, it's a real Jake Lloyd audition.
Yippee!
Yeah, it's a good name. You know, and he did really well. You know, he's a star child. You know, he did really well in my films, but he just going through some hard times. He's got the curse of the Star Wars curse. But
yeah, you know what? Do yourselves a favor. Chris sent me this video the other day. Look this up on YouTube. It says "What went wrong with Phantom Menace," and it shows Jake Lloyd's audition
and all the other kids that read against him.
Yeah, and holy crap, he was the worst one. And Lucas goes into that room with all these people who are just staring at him like, no. And he goes, yeah, you know, I really think this one kid is great technically, but Jake, you know, it's obviously going to take hundreds of takes with this kid, and we're going to have to piece it together and cut and paste it. But it's just so real.
It's just so unpredictable. You don't know what you're getting kind of with each take. You know, he's the one, you know, he's nuts. And then the other one, they just hit the beats, but that's about it, you know. Someone get me a sandwich.
And you see these yes men sitting next to him just looking at him going like, oh, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're in for some long days, everybody.
Yeah.
Long days. Remember how we thought this movie was going to take like 40 days to film? Clear your calendar for the next year. You know, his name's Jake Lloyd. He's not really related to Harold Lloyd or anything like that.
Is there a reason, you know? Was it a nepotism thing? We don't know.
My favorite Jake Lloyd movie must be Jingle All the Way.
Yeah.
And how he just screams every line like, you're the worst dad ever, Dad! Do you think that's the director yelling cut and just being like, do we have any more aspirin? Yeah, that was great, Jake. That was great.
Oh, Lord.
You're the most proficient actor I've ever known.
I can picture those DVD bonus features of Arnold trying to, like, talk him up.
Yeah, a good child who acts very well.
And then eventually he knocks her off that diving board, and apparently she can't swim. And again, maybe thinking about getting a gate around that pool. Also, how about investing in some fucking swim lessons for your goddamn kid that's going to be in the fucking pool?
They have a pool. How do they not know how to swim? Jeez. How long has she been living here? All right.
I know this girl's like 5, right?
Yeah.
It's like, come on. Let's get the kid some lessons or something, like, for fuck's sake.
There's no floaties around that I saw. There's not even like a little like pool toys. Not seen.
Oh boy,
they must be like one of those neglected children in the family where it's like, the pool's for the adults. Okay?
Yeah. Well, okay. So they're asking for it at some point because one, the mom slaps Mikey, which boy, you know, you're not currying much sympathy with the audience when you walk in a room and you slap a child open-handed across the face.
Yeah.
And then we see your daughter can't swim, and you're like, we don't need a gate around the pool. So what if she drowns? Fuck her.
Yeah.
I heard we get insurance money. We'll just blame it on the boy.
Oh, yeah, great.
Yeah, and then we can finally get rid of his ass.
Yeah, they'll take him away. Dust our hands, clean our hands of that one.
But I love this is so like she falls in the pool and we don't see her drowning very well. We see her swimming a little bit, but then we just go to Mikey's face, stoic, you know, like he's fucking Custer at the end of a battle. This motherfucker, he's sitting there just without a care in the world, just staring on as his sister drowns, and you just hear these final bubbles, like a little bloop bloop, and that's it.
You bastard!
You know what would be great is if at the end of the movie she came back as a ghost and got revenge or something.
Oh.
We needed some ghosts in this movie.
Yes.
I mean, the believability is off the charts in this movie. Like, it delves into bizarro worlds in this movie. Like, I would have bought a ghost.
That would have been very Pet Cemetery for them to do that.
Like at the end, she just like comes out of that lake and just pulls Mikey in, like fucking the end of Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
It's just like, ah!
But for some reason, she's covered in seaweed.
We go to the mom in the tub now, right?
Yeah.
And she's on the phone talking about how she wants to get rid of this kid. Again, you're not getting much sympathy from us. Like, hey, these people are all going to die, obviously, right? Yeah. Let's get a little sympathy for the audience. Like, maybe you have the mom be like, oh, Mikey, you got to stop lighting these fires. But instead it's like, hey, you little motherfucker, and slaps him across the face. And then she's on the phone. She's like, oh, we should have never adopted. We should have never adopted. Hey, let me ask you a question. Can you get rid of a kid? How easy is it to, adoption agency? Yeah, I'd like to make a return. This is the point. It's like
you hear her like uncrumpling the receipt from that day in the background.
Yeah, I can't find my receipt, but his name is Mikey.
I can describe him to you. I can fax it.
Okay, this is anonymous, right? This phone line. Yes, ma'am. Yeah. What happens if a kid's just kind of dropped off in front of the? I'm just asking for a friend. So she's talking about getting rid of him, and then all of a sudden, Chris, the phone gets disconnected. And she looks over Chris, and who's there?
Oh, Mr. Mike.
And he's got something in his hands there.
Yeah. Okay.
So
he's holding up his hairdryer, and she's in the pool. I'm not the pool, the bathtub. She might as well be in the fucking pool, because everyone in this movie ends up dead in a pool for some reason, or in water. There's a weird theme. But anyway, so he's holding up with his hairdryer, and he's like, Mikey, put that down. Put that down.
And he's like swinging it with the cord. He's like, maybe I will.
It would have been funnier if he killed her with those ball bearings in the jacuzzis or in the bathtub somehow.
Yeah, those ball bearings will make another appearance. Multiple appearances in this movie. So he's just kind of like dangling this hairdryer. She doesn't think to get out of the tub. She's like, oh, what's he going to do?
No.
So he tosses that right in, and she just fries.
Yeah.
And he's just sitting there with that. Now he's got a smile on his face. Like he's like, yeah.
Fried mama.
Then we get arguably the best scene in this entire fucking movie is Mikey's in the kitchen and he's setting out these large metal balls on the floor.
Yeah.
And we also get a nice shot of the dead lifeless sister floating face down in the pool. Like he kind of looks over like, oh yeah. Memories.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden Chris, oh, daddy's home.
Dad's home. Ding dong.
Ding dong. So daddy comes home and he comes in and Mikey's like, oh, hey, Dad, how you doing?
Can't wait I've been waiting for you all day. Where's my wife?
Where's my wife? Not where's mom.
Yeah,
where's my wife? Oh, you're still here? I thought she was going to return you. I guess she didn't find that receipt.
It's been a long day. I'm hard.
So yeah, he walks in and then he notices the dead sister floating in the pool, and he runs towards the backyard, but he slips on these ball bearings.
Yeah, and okay, the crash of him flying through this bay window into the pool area.
Amazing!
It's just like the biggest like forced stumble through glass I've ever seen.
It is the most stuntman stunt. Like it's in slow motion for one, which is amazing. Mm-hmm. Because they're like, oh, no, play that up. We're paying a lot of money for that sugar glass. You get that motherfucker in slow motion.
Yeah.
This is the stunt.
I think this was the biggest, rehearsed stunt of the whole movie, to be honest.
We only got one chance.
You think he was wearing, knee pads underneath those slacks and, a
Kevlar
vest underneath the shirt? That'd be great if, it's... He's all big and puffy, like the shot when he's falling down.
Well, they do a good job of hiding the stuntman.
Yeah.
Because you don't see his face, you just see the back of him, This guy, slow motion fall through the window, right?
Yeah.
At this point, why don't you just get a stuntman to do that role, by the way? He only has, 2 lines.
Yeah.
Where's my wife?
And so, okay. Where's my wife? But this is so good. So good. Is he comes home, I think he says something to Mikey too. He's like, hey, playing baseball? And he's like, no. But then he trips through this window.
Yeah.
And then Mikey grabs this baseball bat and he walks over his dad and he's like, Mikey, no. And he goes,
see ya, champ.
No. And then he just starts beating the shit out of this man with a bat to the head. So blunt force trauma. And then we cut inside, Chris, to see a little red blinking light.
Yep.
And apparently Mikey, well, he's sort of a voyeur, you know. He's a he doesn't enjoy the kill. He enjoys reveling in it.
Right.
As what he calls later in the movie Mikey's funniest home videos.
Yes. It's a real Woody Allen in the making.
You think he was sending these to Bob Saget? To America's Funniest Home Videos? He's mailing in copies of his VHS, and they're like, I don't know, this kid keeps sending us these videos of people dying, and we don't really know if they're fake or not. I mean, maybe we should put this one on... This one's kind of funny. The guy falls through the window. Bob, you think you could do some punch-up on this one? Add a few sound effects, you know, a little
banana peel slip.
And Bob takes a look and he goes, well, the guy didn't get hit in the nuts, so...
We could add that in post,
a
right?
little banana peel slip. Whoop, 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 as he goes through the window. And then when the kids hit it with the bat, it goes boing, boing. So we go to later, Chris, and the cops. Boy, these cops doing a great job here. The local Arizona PD.
Oh my God! Yeah, a real bang-up job.
Jesus Christ! So they come up, and one of the cops walks up to the lady cop, this guy cop, and he goes, "Is it bad?" And I go, "I mean, seriously, dude, it's a triple fucking homicide. What do you mean, is it bad?" Like it's on the radio, obviously. Like there's codes for where you're going. Shows up. So what do we got here? Is it bad? Well, there's 3 dead people. What the fuck do you think, you dumb shit? So the lady cop theorizes the dad. Okay, Chris, this is the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard. She goes, yeah, looks like the dad saw his dead daughter in the pool and then tripped through the glass and killed himself. And I was like, what? And the guy cop looks at her and goes, yeah, well, tripping wouldn't do that to his head. I write no fucking shit. Like, this guy's head's all beaten into a fucking, like, this guy's head looks like a fucking smashed pumpkin.
Yeah, it does.
Well, my theory is he tripped. You know these glass doors nowadays.
These detectives and cops, this is like career day on the job, shadowing, and these are the ones they got tasked doing.
You know, well, it's, you know, Phoenix.
Explorers.
What are you going to do? This is the best you can get out here in Scottsdale.
I wonder how many unsubscribes we just got.
Scottsdale's best and brightest, you know.
Shh, I can hear the clicking of the unsubscribe button right now in the distance.
Well, fuck you, Arizona. We don't even want you. Go fuck yourself.
Except Landon.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Landon. He'll probably agree with us, Chris.
Yeah.
Then the cops, they go upstairs. They see the dead mom in that tub, and they're scratching their heads. They're like, so, I mean, how do you think this one happened? She tried to do the old blow dry in the shower, in the tub here? Or what do you think, you know? These people, they don't seem to realize if you plug in electronic and drop it in the tub, it's going to kill you. You know, they got to stop making plugs close enough to the tub. So then the cops, they find Mikey, and he's in a closet. They seem to think it was some random guy, right? And Mikey says, yeah, it was some bushy hair guy and a mustache and a red jacket. I hate to say this, but I was really waiting for him to say, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was a black guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was waiting for it. Mm-hmm. And I was like, all right, good. Like the cop just bends down and goes, Mikey, can you tell me? You see what we look like? Did he look a little different? You know? A little darker? Like if you turn off the lights. No? Mikey, let me ask you a question. If you rubbed a chocolate bar on your skin, would it maybe look a little like that? What about Michael Jordan? You like Michael Jordan?
If I gave you a chocolate bar, would you agree with me?
Yeah. Could you fill out this police report?
And check the box that says black.
It doesn't even say African American. No. It just says black. The police report just says white, black, other. Obviously, that's in alphabetical order too. Black, white, black, other, white, and white's like in tiny little print down there. Yeah. Flagstaff PD.
Yeah, the white box is just there as a formality,
Yeah, just forget that's there. We have you fill this out in pencil for a reason. It's erasable. So the guy cop, he's smarter than he looks, Chris, because then he kind of has this epiphany. He goes, these bodies are too far apart. He goes, he's like, first of all, there's nothing taken from the house. There's no robbery that's taken place. Also, these bodies are not in the same place at all. So it seems like nobody was in a panic. Somebody must have known the killer.
Right.
Da, da, da. Which, by the way, the music in this movie is incredible. It's like I said, you could change it at any moment.
Yeah.
Like, if you were to just change the music and slightly re-edit this, it could be a drama, it could be a comedy, or it could be a horror movie.
I was waiting for the detectives when he said that, like, could be someone they know. Anyone see the family dog anywhere? I have questions.
So we go to this psychiatrist's office, and like Mikey's playing at a dollhouse, reenacting what happened that day, and this doctor's just taking notes. And then the doctor walks up with like a car, the brown car, as Mikey said, and he goes like, "Now, Mikey, who's this man?" And he's like, "That's the bad man." And then he's like, "Well, we're all done here." He goes into the office, and he's like, "Well, I think he's ready to go get adopted."
Yeah.
And so apparently, okay, there's a lady at the adoption office here, or psychologist's office, that's talking to a lady who's apparently Mikey's mom's sister, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, wearing like a leather jacket, like she just got off a motorcycle, and she's like, "I don't know why the fuck you called me here. I don't want that fucking kid." And they're like, "Well, you're his mom's sister." She's like, "That wasn't his mom." She goes, "They adopted him." And the lady from the adoption office is like, well, we just don't know. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
There's so much gross incompetence in this movie.
What the fuck are you talking about? You don't know.
I love this.
I'm like, a foster kid has so much paperwork on them. You don't lose them. Like, if a kid is in an orphanage or being adopted, there's a lot of paperwork.
Right.
You don't just be like it's a fucking pound and the first person that comes in takes them. It's a long process.
There's
to
like
adopt a kid.
It looks like a getting acquaintance room, and then you adopt him right then
like,
and there.
Like they're just putting out feelers. They're like, "Hey, you want to come down? Hey, you want to adopt that kid your sister had? You look qualified, right? What do you do for a living?"
I drive an ice cream truck.
But she says, she's like, "No, that kid's fucking nuts." And she looks at the lady and she goes, "Well, I don't have to take him, right?" And she's like, "Well, no." And then she goes, "Well, kiss him goodbye," and then walks out. So we go to this mall, or an airport, right? And we see Grindbin All-Star John Deal and Mimi Craven. So the new mommy and daddy, Chris. Because apparently, also, there's no meeting for foster parents.
Oh, no.
They just meet the kid right at the airport. Mm-hmm. There's no office or paperwork to fill out. It's just like, "Oh, yeah, hey, Mikey, we found a family for you. We're apparently supposed to meet them at the airport. They don't show up. I don't really know what we're going to do. Maybe have a nice little Phoenix vacation." So now he has new parents, right?
Yeah.
This is amazing, Chris. The dad walks up to him and he's like, "Hey, I got a present for you." And he gives him this baseball glove, right?
Oh, Jesus.
And then he picks up his luggage from the carousel. And god damn it, that fucking bat
still has blood on it.
Yeah, still has fucking blood on it. By the way, the cops, brilliant
investigative skills.
Brilliant Scottsdale PD.
Yeah.
Didn't decide to like keep anything as evidence. Like, "Hey, there's that video camera in the corner. Maybe we should see if that thing recorded anything on the off chance. Hey, there's a bloody bat around here. You don't think that had anything to do with this guy tripping through that window, right?"
Tell forensics, we got this one covered.
Fuck it.
Yeah.
We looked around the house for a couple minutes. It seemed fine. The dad grabs his thing and he goes, "Oh, hey, do you like to pitch?" And Mikey says, "No, but I'm a good batter." And I just write, "So hold on a second. We got fucking jokes now?"
Yeah. One-liners at the wazoo.
Like, what fucking movie is this? Is it supposed to be serious?
He's got more one-liners in the first 10 minutes than Schwarzenegger ever had.
I mean, he has better one-liners than Freddy in the Freddy movies.
Yeah.
Like, this kid is a fucking cut-up here.
That would have been a great
tagline. He's fucking better than Chuck. They should have had Mikey versus Chucky.
Yeah.
Imagine if Mikey got Chucky as a toy.
Oh my god, yes.
You just see this big war, Mikey versus Chucky. This movie needed sequels. I'm telling you, it
Yeah.
needed more homes that Mikey went to and terrorized.
A church orphanage.
Oh God! And just
Ooh.
one by one, they're like, "Oh, the whole orphanage is dead."
Yeah. Boy Scouts field trip.
But one, oh,
So many loose ends we could tie up with that.
so we're getting jokes, but at the same time, we have like tonal music that's all dreadful. Yet we got these one-liners that are like, "What do you mean I'm a good batter?" Like everybody's gonna laugh at that, and then you accent it by like, "Duh duh duh." Like people are supposed to be scared. It's a fucking 9-year-old. Which, by the way, if some fucking 9-year-old comes after you, kick his ass. It's not
Everyone
that
in this
hard.
movie like cowers in terror.
No, Mikey, no.
They literally cower.
What are you doing? Close your fucking fist and hit him across the face. Just fucking kick him.
He's like literally
He's like a goddamn soccer ball. This kid.
He's waist high. Go to town. Do work.
That's the one thing about Chucky. It's like, just put him in the fucking trash. Like,
The oven.
throw him in the goddamn trash compactor in the oven. Just fucking get rid of him. So the car ride home, right? Mom mentions, well, we don't have a pool, thank God. But there's a lake, and I write, well, that might be worse. So we know his proclivity for water.
Yeah.
Water-based deaths. Mikey's a big fan of the water deaths, so... Which I like. You know, what I gotta say about Mikey, he's got creativity. Never kills the same way twice. No, it's always a little bit different, Chris.
But it's the same big picture, though.
But you know what's amazing is that like later in the movie he could use the same thing.
Yeah.
But then he gets a new toy. You know, he's like, I'm tired of this toy. It's time for a new one.
Yeah, but that's it. It's like the death is the same, just the instrument it was achieved with.
Well, I think I give this kid credit. You know, for a 9-year-old, he's got a lot of
All
creativity.
right. I'll give him this. The timing and the planning, execution.
And the one-liners. I
Yeah.
mean, holy shit.
Oh, yeah.
He's fucking better than Bronson with these
Yeah.
things, you know? So we go to this new home, right? And for some reason, these neighbors have broken into the home, and they're just waiting inside
Yeah, I
for this
didn't get
family
that.
to come in. You know, what the fuck's that about? And so there's this new boy named Ben, who Mikey is now best friends with. They're destined to be best friends. And they do become best friends. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's no point when it gets violent with Ben, which I was a little bit disappointed in. And so they look at this aquarium, and I'm only going to mention this because apparently the mom's job is to, like, make fish.
I think she's
she, like, fucking breeds fish.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, fish breeder?
Mm-hmm. Goldfish breeder.
Well, we don't have enough money for her to be a dog breeder. Well, what type of pet? Fish. So she's some sort of fish breeder.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we immediately meet a new character, Sean, who is Ashley Lawrence from Hellraiser, and she's also the school teacher. Right. So everybody, there's only like 5 people in this movie and like 5 sets. It doesn't matter. It's still great. Yeah. So Mikey goes upstairs with Ben, right? Mm-hmm. And the mom and the teacher have this little private chat. And the mom and I write, okay, now this is where I got another problem. She looks at the teacher and she goes, oh, I don't really know how I feel about this whole thing. You know, I really wanted a baby. I mean, this kid's been shuffled around a lot.
Shuffled around.
Like he's a fucking baseball card. Like you just trade him and shit. Like, I don't know, this kid's been a little shuffled, you know?
God damn it.
Shuffled around? And I write, okay, fuck you. For one, at this point, you don't know the kid's bad, right? Yeah. These people are what, like, well, I don't want an old kid. I want a new one.
That's like getting a kitten.
You know, we wanted to adopt a kid. We didn't want a fucking old one, all right? We wanted a brand new one with only one parent before, you know? Maybe they died or something. But now we got this fucking shuffled kid.
He's been through the motions. He's damaged goods.
Yeah, and I write, well, fuck you, lady. Get some better ovaries or get some fucking better sperm. Fuck off. Like, go fuck yourself. All right, did you say this in the interview? Because you know what? It would immediately disqualify you from adopting a kid.
Well, not too young, but not too old either.
Unless that the agency, they're like, well, we need to give this murderous kid to somebody. Yeah, you know that lady who came in and said, I don't want a fucking used kid? I think they can use them, you know?
Yeah.
Go fuck them.
Any day now. Any day.
That's how they clean house over at the adoption agency.
That's how they weed
They're
them
like,
out.
Yeah, if you come in and you say shit like, I don't want an old kid, I don't want like a used baseball card in my house, I don't want a fucking deck of cards, you know, I don't want to be playing 52 card pickup with this kid's life. They go like, oh yeah, we get the kid just for you.
That's their version of real paternal cleansing, you know?
Yeah. So the dad and mom are in the bedroom. Now it's bedtime, right? And the dad's all happy. He's like, oh, yeah, we got a kid. And the mom's just like pissed about it.
Yeah.
And she's throwing out another pregnancy test, I guess. She's, having postpartum depression, but as like a fucking adoption. It's like, lady, if you didn't want to fucking adopt a kid, don't do it.
So, hey, where's the receipt again?
Yeah, I don't know. We can return him, right?
30
days?
30 days, yeah. There's no cool-off period, right?
30 days.
The cool
off period. Don't worry. If you adopt one of the kids, I got a cool off period. So we go to this archery range. Now, this will never come into play again. Never, because the dad's barely in this fucking movie. Mm-hmm. But they go to this archery range where Mikey is now part of Indian Guides. This will never be played up. But they just shoot bows and arrows, and Mikey's really good. But this scene is only here because we have exposition of Mikey being like, well, what happened to your old kid? And he basically says, oh, no, you're the only kid we've ever had. We bought all those toys for you. Ba-ba-ba. We can't have children. You know, Mikey, your mom's a real fucking bitch.
Yeah, I got a piece of work, we got a bitch of shit.
Mikey, let me tell you something. She didn't want you. She didn't want you. But you know what? I told her. Yeah. Get some working ovaries, you know?
Oh, God.
I mean, it's half your fault. Wouldn't it be great if they had an argument at some point? And she's like, why don't you get better sperm? And he's like, why don't you get better fucking ovaries, huh?
This is a screaming match during shower sex. You thought this would be romantic. Look who's slipping into the fuck.
Yeah, there should have been a lot of like, get me fucking pregnant already. So we go to the school, Chris. Mikey's introduced to his new class, and his friend Ben's in the class. Pretty much all they do is high five each other.
Yeah.
They're best of buds. And then some kid comes up to the front of the class and shows off some shitty clock he made. And then the cops were called in because they thought it was a bomb.
Yeah.
No, he does. She's like, oh, it's arts and crafts. Let's show all your crafts. And then just one kid comes up to the front of the room and he made like a fucking shitty clock out of paper. And they're like, isn't this wonderful?
This is like 10 o'clock at night Hobby Lobby run.
I'm like, that kid didn't even fucking try, man. Yeah. Come on. Even for a 9-year-old, that's fucking pathetic.
Yeah.
So apparently when some kid does good on his homework or, at this school, if he just does mediocre... they like put this marble in this Rube Goldberg machine that is the most creative thing I've ever seen for no fucking reason in a movie. This is like the machine Pee Wee Herman uses to make his fucking breakfast. I mean, this thing makes no fucking sense.
The things that it does, and this is the reason why people want to cut the budget on education. Okay, shit like this.
Yeah, this is the 90s, all right? We got so much fucking money. We
can build Pee Wee Herman machines in our classroom.
This fucking thing, there's no way to explain it unless you see this movie. Yeah. It's got like fucking painted gears and like a balloon that blows up and like the fucking train set on it. And like this takes up a whole wall of the classroom.
Okay, what reality does an elementary school teacher have the budget and the time to make something like this?
Oh my God. Well, no wonder she's so popular with the kids.
Yeah.
So every time a kid does well on his homework, they put marbles in this machine. Mm-hmm. And then I guess when it gets filled up enough, the kid who gets the last one gets a prize.
Yeah.
Okay. So then we go...
Only after they cheat, they get them chanting marble time or something like that.
Oh, God, yeah. So every time a kid does something right, they start, like it's fucking Logan's Run or something, and they're all like, carousel. Yeah. All these kids are like, marble time. And they bring out their fucking... got their goddamn pitchforks until she puts that fucking marble in the machine, and they're like, it better work this time, bitch. But it doesn't. So it's school's out, Chris, and Mikey and Ben are walking through this cemetery, right?
Yeah.
And there's this great part where, so like Mikey's talking to Ben, he's like, well, where's your dad? And he's like, oh, my dad died. And Mikey looks at him and he goes, did you touch him? And I wrote, what? And Ben looks at him and he goes, no. What do you mean touch him? Ben's like, well, where are your parents, dead or something? And he's like, he gets all mad, and then for some reason he disappears immediately.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden Ben's like, Mikey, where are you? It's like he was right in front of you.
Yeah, I didn't get that.
So they're just walking around, and then there's spooky music.
Yeah, because the transition of Mikey disappearing, they do like the cheat of the pan
behind
past,
a headstone.
pan past the headstone, and then he's gone.
Whoa!
What a real Alakazam moment there,
He's a fucking magician over here, So all of a sudden, he finds Mikey, Chris, and he's laying on top of a fresh grave.
Yeah.
Right? And Ben walks up, and then Mikey opens his eyes and scares him. It's like, well, he's not dead, kid. He's just fucking lying there.
And hats off to the editors for making this scene really jarring, because they did the quick eyes open, then the quick clash sound, and then the extreme close up of the other kid's face,
And it has this great line where Mikey says, which you heard in the trailer, dead people aren't the ones to be scared of. Living people are. Yeah. Dun, dun, dun. Mm-hmm. We go back to the home. Parents are looking at some shitty art that Mikey drew and trying to analyze it with a psychologist book. It's fucking stupid. We go to this. They're like, oh, he drew water. I guess that means he feels trapped inside. It's like, shut the fuck up. You people shouldn't even have a child. So we go to school. Class ends, and Mikey sneaks over to... Now he's going to cheat, Chris.
Yep.
He starts fucking force-feeding marbles into this machine. He's like, I'm getting that fucking prize. And the teacher asked him to come over, and she caught him, right? Mm. And she's like, Mikey, the best way to get people to like you is to be yourself. You shouldn't cheat.
Oh, she's lighting a match on the stick of dynamite.
Yeah, I was like, that is dangerous fucking advice.
Yeah.
And she's like, all right, well, you got to go tell your parents that you cheated. And he's like, yeah, whatever. So then we cut to a zoo, and Mikey and his parents are looking at a gorilla, and this insane music starts playing. There's all these trumpets, and I put a very aggressive bass line. I mean, very aggressive. It doesn't fit the scene at all. Mm-hmm. It must have been one track left on the stock music CD. Well, we paid for it, kid. We got to use it. See if we can fit that jazzy track in. Maybe when they're at the zoo.
Yeah.
So this doesn't fucking make any sense, because all it is runtime. Mikey just gives an old lady her purse back when she left it on a bench, and they're like, oh, what an angel. That's it.
Yep.
So then we go back home, right? So the mom and the teacher are talking. Oh, no. This is amazing. So the mom and the teacher are outside at this shopping center, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is probably one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie. The teacher asked the mom if Mikey told her about the marble game, and he didn't. But then, Chris, the mom immediately goes into, she's like, well, did he tell you about that marble game and stuff? And she says all this stuff oh, yeah, if you do your homework, you get a prize or something. And the teacher just looks kind of sad, oh, he didn't say anything. And then the mom immediately turns to her, changes the subject, and goes, hey, are you still thinking about a gun?
Yeah. We have to squeeze this in somehow.
What a fucking segue. Hey, are you still thinking about getting a gun? And the teacher's like, yeah. And she goes, oh, great. And then opens her purse and in public just hands her a gun and goes, well, you can have mine. I can't keep it around the house anymore.
You couldn't have used the incident that happened to Mikey's last time, oh yeah, there's this killer on the loose. You should get protection for yourself. That couldn't have been an easier segue than just out of the blue.
Are you thinking about getting a gun?
My husband was reading that magazine, Rifleman, and
she could have been like, there was a robbery in my house the other week, and she's like, oh, you still thinking about getting a gun?
Yeah.
Instead, it's like, oh, yeah, that marble game. Oh, by the way, are you still thinking about getting a gun? Yeah, actually, I am. Oh, great. Here, you can have mine. Let me hand it to you in public. They couldn't have done it in the fucking car when they got home.
Yeah.
And why was this filmed with all these fucking extras in the middle of a goddamn shopping center? There's no reason for this.
Arizona open carry? I'm not sure the laws at the time.
Who knows? It's 92. It was like the fucking Wild West back then, Chris. You could do whatever you want. You could murder a foster family. Nobody gives a shit.
No, that's good.
We go back to class, right?
Yeah.
And I'm assuming that the teacher brings her gun to school, too, as well. Actually, she does. We'll find out that later. The teacher does bring her gun to school with all those little children because, you know what? They might get unruly. Also, if a kid gets into her purse, accidents happen. Little boo-boo.
That's why they have the nurse.
She's like, I didn't know there was a safety. I've never had one. We go to this class, and the kids are drawing shitty pictures. And then the teacher walks over and she sees a picture that Mikey's drawing, Chris.
It is Thanksgiving themed.
Which, by the way, it must be near Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Because the end of this movie, holy fuck. But, I mean, we'll get to that at the end.
Oh, yeah. So Mikey is drawing this wonderfully colored picture of this turkey throwing an axe through a pilgrim's head.
There's blood everywhere.
The blood is just gushing. I'm Add a boy. Add a boy.
And she goes like, "Oh my God, Mikey, what are you drawing?" And there's all spooky music. And he goes, "The pilgrim was mean to the turkey." And she's like, "Dun dun dun! This kid's a murderer. Thank God I got that gun." So then she goes okay. So is this man the principal that she goes to? I don't know who the fuck this guy is.
It's never explained who this guy is.
So I just call him the principal in my notes because I'm like, well, he has a big office, and no teacher has a fucking office.
Well,
like
I thought
this.
he was like a gym coach because he had all his trophies.
I don't know who the fuck this guy is, Chris, but I called him principal. So she like goes in there and shows him, because she goes in and shows him this picture. She goes, "Hey, this kid drew this picture." And he's like, "Yeah, so fucking what?" And she's like, "I've been reading a lot of psychology books, and I think he has something called unattached syndrome." And he's just like, "Oh, yeah? What's that?" And she just goes on. It doesn't make much sense. Yeah. But at any point, somebody should be like, "Hey, you know what? Maybe you should leave that to the doctors." Let me ask you a question. What's your degree in again?
Yeah.
Fucking
literature.
Fucking literature, right? Why don't we leave that to the professionals, huh?
Sociology.
He's not just like a chiropractor. You just can't go do it.
No x-rays.
I've been reading a lot of books now. I kind of think I'm a doctor. Okay. Child expert over here. So we go to the lake right behind the house, and Mikey's practicing. He's playing like a simulated baseball game by himself, and his mom's watching from the window. And he has this part where he like throws the ball up, and he's like, the batter gets hit in the head, and blood runs everywhere, and the crowd goes wild. And then the mom's like, "Mikey, come on in for dinner," or something.
Yeah.
We go to the school, Chris. The teacher, it's dark now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, this is in the day. The teacher's like looking up all these records on Mikey because, he drew that picture. She's never seen a picture like that in her entire life, Chris. Not once has a kid ever drawn a violent picture in their life.
Sad.
And she's immediately like, well, this kid is a murderer. He's new. He's a shuffled kid. He's damaged goods. He's bounced around. He might as well be a fucking piece of trash for all I care. We need to get him out of Phoenix. So she goes up to the clerk lady at the school and says like, "Hey, you got any information on that Mikey kid?" And she's like, "It's a quote closed adoption and the records are sealed. We don't even know where he came from." And I write, "What? What the fuck are you talking about?"
I don't really buy that.
I'm like, a public school, for one, would definitely have adoption records on past family. And you know why?
Yeah.
Because if one of those people comes to the fucking school and tries to take that kid back, they need to know. They need to be like, "Oh, no, we know who you are." You know, they need to protect that kid. And so they're like, "Our hands are tied,
Jesus.
Here in Arizona, that's how we do things.
You like what you see? You can have it.
Yeah, this is 92. This is back in the day where if you wanted a kid, you just go to Chuck E. Cheese and take one.
That's right. Yeah, a handful of tickets and you come out with a kid.
A handful of tickets, a handful of kid. Yeah, you get enough tickets, you get a kid. So we go to the soccer field, right? And the principal, who I guess is also the PE coach, starts dividing up these kids by shirts and skins. And this one gets a little creepy.
A little weird, yeah.
He seems to really want to get Mikey's shirt off. Because he's like, "And you're a skin." Mikey's like, "I don't want to be a skin." He's like, "Oh, no, kid, just take your shirt off." And he's like, "No, I don't want to take my shirt off." And he's like, "No, Mikey, you're a skin. Come on. You're new here. I need to see it. I need to see that glistening white body." And he goes, "Well, I'm allergic to the sun." And he goes, "All right, fine. Your shirt." I would have been like, allergic to the sun.
Do you think there was like some policy in place in schools back then where if you said you were allergic to something, like by law, they had to go, "Oh, okay then."
Yeah, whatever.
Like kind of like how like you say if you
we had that kid die from the peanut thing the other day. I didn't believe him. I was throwing fucking shells at him, and all of a sudden he coughed up and died.
Yeah, like at the hospital, if you're waiting and you say you're having breathing or your heart hurt or something like that, they take you immediately. It's probably like that in this movie's world. I think. Yeah.
92. Like I said, Chris, they had a real problem with that peanut allergy kid,
Yeah.
The principal didn't believe him. He gave him some peanut butter sandwich. He's like, no, kid, come on. Eat some, you'll feel better. You got to build up an immunity.
It's like the 1950s.
The kid just coughs up and dies, and they go, "Oh, well, fuck that. Fuck me. I didn't even know that was a real thing."
I think he was just being stubborn.
So we cut to later. There's no soccer game. right? We just immediately cut inside. So that was all a fucking waste of time getting all those goddamn kids in this movie, having their parents there, everything.
Sign all the waivers.
Yeah, all fucking useless because we don't show that. But he goes inside, and the principal starts talking to Mikey in this class alone.
Yeah.
And he starts it out. He's like, so you like horror movies or something? And he's like, yeah, I like Freddy. And he's like, oh, yeah, is that why you don't like to take your shirt off? And I write, I'm sorry?
I don't remember that part.
Yeah, he's like, what's your favorite movie, kid?
Yeah.
And he's like, I like Freddy Krueger.
Yeah,
And he
I
goes,
remember this part of the movie, but
yeah.
just not like...
He goes, oh, yeah, you like Freddy. Is that why you don't like to take your shirt off?
Yeah.
And I write,
I don't
wait,
get that.
what?
Yeah, thank you.
What the fuck? And he's like, no, I just don't like to do it. And he's like, come on, take your shirt off. I'm like, excuse me? Like, it's getting really weird. Like, where is this going? And I write, I'm afraid this movie might become something else very quickly. And now all of a sudden I'm on Mikey's side.
Yeah. They really play the sides of the audience there, you know?
And then Mikey smartly kind of changes the subject. He's looking away. He's like, this is this guy in my shirt, you know? And he looks over at this skeleton, right? That's hanging in the class. And now I got a real problem with this.
Totally.
He looks over and he's like, is this real? And the principal is like, yeah. And I go, no.
You have a skeleton of a 10-year-old boy.
Yeah, because he goes, how old was he? And he goes, I don't know, about your age, probably. And he's like, how did he die? And he's like, I don't know. Well, actually, I do know. It was that peanut allergy kid. To be honest, Mikey, he ate a peanut butter sandwich. I didn't know you could die from it, but, you live and you learn. It's the 90s.
We found him under the lunch tables just like this.
He was adopted, too. He was a real shuffler. First of all, they don't have real skeletons in classrooms. Like in a fucking elementary school. Like any place they're going to have a real skeleton, which they don't. By the way. Right. They don't have real skeletons in classrooms. But it would probably be, if anywhere, in a medical school. Mm-hmm. Not like, well, like you said, Chris, I guess the budgets in 1992 were so crazy that they were filling elementary school classrooms full of
cadavers.
Child skeletons. We got just this big rush. We got this big surplus of child skeletons.
We gotta move them.
You got a 10-year-old? We want a 10-year-old at this school. There's no waiting list. We got them ready. We can't get rid of them all. You know how many fucking dead kids there are in this one?
We got one that's around 13 for your puberty class.
What do you want?
Ready
A real shuffler? So we go to Ben's house and Mikey likey, Chris.
I wish that was on the box.
Because now we're gonna have like the other part of this movie is like Ben's sister comes home and she's older.
Yeah.
However, she's not in college.
No.
It's said that she's like, I guess she goes off to like boarding school or something, right?
Yeah.
And she's home for a little bit, but she comes in the house. Mm-hmm. Her brother Ben's like, oh my God, come in here real quick. My friend, he's dead. And Mikey's like laying on the floor, lifeless. Right?
Yeah. She decides, I'm going to... Oh my, she freaks the fuck out. Like,
apparently she's like a fucking... what do you call it? She's an EMT.
Yeah, she knows CPR apparently. So she like tells him, get the fuck out of the way! And starts like checking his pulse and she's just, I need 10 cc's! Yeah. She checks the pulse and there's no pulse. She's like, oh my God, you're not fucking shitting me! And just starts doing CPR and starts breathing into him. And then after the second puff, she gets a big, he plants one on her.
Yeah.
She's like, you motherfucker! And then they start like wrestling with each other, like playfully laughing. I'm like, that's not fucking.
Yeah. He like makes out with her, and she starts laughing. She's like, you guys got me good.
Yeah, and he's like, how'd you make it seem like you didn't have a pulse? Like, well, I put this ball under my arm, and it cuts off the circulation. It makes it seem like you don't have a pulse.
I'm like, what?
That's the thing, yeah. That came in a magic book I got in elementary school on how to...
Hey, how to pretend you're dead for your parents, kids.
Yeah, that was
You want to freak your parents out?
Yeah, that was actually like how it was tagged in the book. I was like,
but Chris, when you did it, were your parents like, oh, thank God? And you're like, no, I'm alive. I'm alive.
Larry, it finally happened.
Larry, we don't need that receipt. We don't need the receipt after all.
Cash those savings bonds for going to Disney World.
Woo! You got the insurance, right? Larry, instead of looking for the receipt, look for the insurance. Call up the broker.
Our daughter was going to a university.
Yeah. Harvard. So
Ivy League.
Apparently, So this happens, right? And then she says like, "Oh, well, you really fooled me. Plus, you're a really good kisser."
Okay. So many fucking things wrong with this. Yeah. This is just blank check too.
Yeah, like I said, Mikey likey.
Yeah.
He likey the sister. Yeah. Then she like makes these children carry her bags upstairs. And Ben says something at some point where he's like, at some point he goes, "Why are we doing this?" And apparently her boyfriend is hiding in the closet. Her closet, right? Because she opens the closet and this guy comes out. And I write, for how long?
When did he get there? How long has he been there?
Okay, there's no cell phones, right?
No.
So he's just like, well, she'll be home today. I better go sleep in the house overnight, you know. I'll wake up. She'll probably be home the next day. Like, how long is this fucking guy in the closet?
This is like the quad dead zone with the brothers in the mortuary. I would say he's been sitting there with like an off and on, semi hard on for easily like 8 hours.
Just sniffing her underwear all night, you know, this fucking guy.
He wears it on his head like a mask just to like...
So she's like, "How'd you get in there?" And he goes, quote, "I have my ways." And there's one problem I have in this movie, again, is that too many people are able to access this young lady's room.
Too many people have their ways.
The way to get in this girl's room is too easy.
Multiple times.
Oh my
does
God.
she face intruders that are literally like breathing above her in her bed while she sleeps.
And they can get in within seconds. So we go to night, right? Oh, here we go. Yeah. We go to the night, Chris. Mikey climbs up this tree to spy on her through a window, or at least you think spy on her. Because then he opens the window and kind of mouth breathes over her while she's laying in this bed.
Karen.
So then she's like kind of stirs in the bed a little bit. So he gets under the bed and like grabs this frog that's jumping by, right?
Yeah.
And that wakes her up, and she sees her windows open, and she's all like, okay. And then goes and shuts it. And then that just cuts. So we don't know what happened there, if Mikey got out of that house or what the fuck happened. Or
didn't you like throw the frog in like the aquarium?
Yeah, that's the next day. So he comes home and he just fills the frog, or he throws the frog in that aquarium with this fish, right?
Yeah.
So we go to class. There's a spelling bee, and guess what, Chris? Mikey's in the spelling bee, and he has to spell the word assassin.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. How ironic.
Yeah. But he's getting help from his buddy, apparently.
And then, his friend, Ben, is spelling it out for him. But then, you know what, Chris? The teacher goes, "Well, that's very good. How did you spell that very simple word to spell?" It sounds just like it fucking spelled just like it sounds. And he turns around and he goes, "Oh, I won a prize in the past." And he says, like, the city. And I write, "A clue!" So then they put the marble in that stupid fucking machine, and it starts working. It's working its Pee Wee Herman magic. Yeah. And then Mikey won a shitty watch. Like, you know these watches you'd get as a kid, like a plastic watch?
Yeah.
Yeah, you get enough tickets at Chuck E. Cheese, you either get a kid or you get a watch.
Yeah. Sometimes both.
Yeah. Kid comes with the watch, you know? It's like one of those shitty plastic Ninja Turtles watches you get in a cereal box. And he's like, "Yeah, that's right. I won the fucking prize." And he goes home and he just starts talking to these fishes about it. He's like, "Look, and I won at school, fish. I won the watch. I'm the fucking best." I'm like, okay. So then, but this is great. The teacher calls the old school and she asks about Mikey. And the other teacher on the line goes, "Oh my God, that kid, that poor kid, his whole family died. They were murdered, and they never found out how." Dun, dun, dun. Go back to Mikey's house. Now he's sneaking out the window of his room, Chris. He's sitting on the roof of their house, and he's, like, staring at Ben's sister as she lounges by the pool, right?
Yeah.
And then he comes over to her in her backyard.
Yeah. How did he get down so fast?
I don't know. We didn't see that. We just cut, and he's, like, standing over her going, like, "Karen?
Yeah.
Karen?" And basically, she's like, "Oh, you don't have any friends? You can hang out with me for a while. We're going to go for a boat ride." She brings up the kissing again, and I'm like, oh, boy. Then we go on the lake. So they're on this paddle boat, and we find out, like, this is where you find out, like, she was a bad kid. She was sent away to a school, but now she's back for a little bit. So she's not in college. She's not in college. And I have to repeat this hundreds and hundreds of fucking times. This girl is underage. So she asked Mikey... Okay, she dives in the water at one point, and she goes, "So you liking girls better than frogs nowadays?"
Oh, God.
And I write, "I'm a little worried about this movie turning into a Roommates type scenario."
Yeah, you're right.
Which is another movie we covered, which had a teacher seduce a young boy.
Yeah.
And Mikey likey, Chris. Because we see a very uncomfortable shot. Like, okay, I'm going to reiterate this again. This girl, underage.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to see like a shot of her getting out of the paddle boat where we're like looking down into her swimsuit.
Yeah.
Like cleavage. And I'm like, excuse me?
Yeah.
And she like looks at Mikey. She's like, oh, I see you looking. She's like, it's not polite to stare. You can look, but you shouldn't stare. And I'm like, huh?
Hey, that reminds me of when my mom and dad got married.
Oh my God, Chris. Please don't tell me that's the age difference.
No. The priest, when he was, you know how they sit down with the couples before they get married.
Yeah.
And he was like an Irish priest.
So he's like, oh, Larry.
Oh, Larry. No, Pat. Listen to me closely. If your little husband, it's okay for him to look once in a while. He's just admiring God's creations. But if at any point he acts out on them, you have my permission, the Lord's permission, to beat the hell out of him.
Did he really say that?
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Yeah, so Mikey obviously didn't get this speech from a priest. I mean, with this movie, though, thank God there was no priest involved, because we don't know where that's going. You know, there's a man who keeps wanting to get a 9-year-old shirt off. What I believe is an underage girl trying to, I don't know, entice him in a way. It's I was waiting for the line where she's like, "You ever get a little bit of action down in your pants, Mikey?"
Oh God,
it's natural. It's natural.
You ever feel the worm squirm?
Don't worry, it's natural.
Yeah.
It's natural. So,
that'd be great if this movie just turned into something completely different in the second act.
I keep thinking it was. Like, I was like, this movie is borderline switching into a different movie.
Like
and
Mikey,
like I said, we're going to start feeling bad for Mikey at some point.
Mikey meets his match.
Like, I was thinking this was going to be a real roommates type situation. Like, we were going to switch the movie halfway through, and it's like, hey, remember how this was a horror movie? Not anymore.
It's a horror movie.
Yeah, horror. WH. So we go to Mikey's room, right?
Yeah.
And, he's got the old greatest hits on, right?
Yep.
He's watching when he sent his dad through that, his old stepdad through that pane glass window. And his new dad walks in. He's like, oh, hey, what you watching? He's like, just a horror film. And he's like, oh, come on, Mikey. You can't really watch this stuff.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like any horror film I've ever seen. Also,
No.
the dad's just screaming, Mikey, no! Oh, he's got the same name as you. Oh, that's really... Boy, this is filmed like a real voyeuristic. I've never seen a movie that just has one shot on a shitty VHS camera.
Continuously.
Is this like Faces of Death or something?
Yeah.
But instead, this devolves into a conversation about girls. Because Mikey's like, Daddy, what happens if it gets hard down below?
I'll tell you what happens down there.
He goes, let me show you, Mikey. Take your shirt off. He's basically like, it's dumb. It's just the birds and the bees, but there ain't no bees. You know what I mean?
Nope.
There's no full description. He's just like, if you feel something, you feel something.
All bee, no honey.
So later, Mikey he videotapes. Okay, here we go. Now, I mean, this is obviously Mikey's fault. Yet she has sexualized a child. So she told him it was okay to look. And again, you shouldn't plant something in this kid's head. Like when the teacher was like, you should just be yourself. At the end, he should have just said to her, he should have been like, I'm just being myself. You know? Because that's what she told him to do. Yeah. And this girl's like, it's okay to look but not stare. And he's like, okay, well, I'll just look through my video camera.
Let it do the staring for me.
So, Chris, what... Tell me, Mikey's parked outside with that camera, and what do we see?
Oh, are we at the pool now?
No. She's up in her room.
That's right. Okay.
And some candles are lit.
Some candles being lit. I thought I saw maybe a rose or two. I'm not sure, but a guest pops into the frame.
Okay, apparently blinds are just maybe not installed on the windows or something, because she's got her window wide open.
Yeah.
And this underage girl, by the candlelight, is taking her clothes off.
Yeah.
Again, we're sexualizing two underage children in this movie.
That's right.
No wonder it's banned in the UK. But Mikey's got that little red light blinking.
Yeah.
Looking through that window.
And he's enjoying what he sees.
He's like, the zoom only goes so far, you know. But then, like you said,
there's another zoom lens going, I'm sure.
But then like you said, Chris, there's a little friend.
A little friend makes an appearance.
Because when candles are lit and it's the late 80s or early 90s, you know that sex is not far off.
For those of you who've seen Red Shoe Diaries, you'll know what's coming up next.
Or Thrashing. One of our past episodes. So the boyfriend that we've been introduced to, I believe, like just one time before at this point.
He's he's
the real eager beaver.
Yeah, he's done up like some trashy romance novel cover. Like,
yeah, he's got like the shirt off, but the jeans. He's got like a little bit of oil. He's like, oh yeah, we're gonna get it on. But then Mikey sees him, enraged.
And she gets him on the bed. Not Mikey, but her boyfriend.
Oh yeah, so she gets him on the bed, and again, Chris, I write again in my notes, isn't this girl underage? Because now we see a shot of her like unbuckling a belt buckle, and like I'm all whoa.
Yeah. Work is getting done.
Oh boy. So they start making out, and then all of a sudden, crash. Rock flies through the window.
Yeah, great aim.
Mikey throws this rock through the window because he's just enraged that now that he's a sexualized boy, that anybody would go for his girlfriend.
Mm-hmm. The hormones are just raging. The testosterone is flowing throughout his body. You know, it's quite a cannon to get that rock that far, and like with such aim and precision.
Chris.
Yeah.
He is a baseball player. Well, he can hit. I would have liked it if he used the bat and kind of like hit the rock through
It would have been better if the bat went to the window.
Or just the video camera.
Or him.
Yeah, he just goes, yes!
Chuck and roll.
This guy, you know, a typical high school kid, he's like, this has totally threatened his manhood. And he's like, I'm going to kick some ass. I'm going to go kick some guy's ass. And he like runs outside and he's like, where are you? Where are you?
Yeah.
And he looks back at his girlfriend. He's like, where is he, you whore? And she's like, oh, don't start that again. And he's like, I know there's some other guy around here.
I see how you dress her out at night, slut.
Look at how you're dressed outside right now, huh? Keeping your window open when you're taking your shirt off. What do you expect?
It's like you're asking for it.
Okay, so she goes back inside. She's like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm just going to flex my muscles a little bit more. You know, I got this oil on. You know, I might as well use it. Now I'm very intimidating. And then we cut to Mikey sitting in a bush, just staring at this guy, right? He's also videotaping this, I believe. No, he's not videotaping this at this point. He's sitting in this bush, Chris, and he's got this look on his face. And then all of a sudden, you hear a cat go, meh, and then
snap over the neck. I'm glad it's at least off camera.
It's off camera, but it's so funny because it's like Mikey doesn't even need effort. He just goes like, and he doesn't even like move. He's just like, yeah. So he snaps this cat's neck. This though is brilliant. This whole plan.
Yeah.
The sister to the guy. She's like, you know, hey, I'm not in the mood anymore. You know, your testosterone kind of killed it. And he goes, I know what'll get you in the mood. And he like brings out this fucking bottle of booze.
Yeah, he's like trying to come on, get some in you.
He's like,
come on,
open your mouth. Down the hatch.
DT8.
And she's like, no. So she sends him off, Chris. So he starts his car. Okay.
Oh, God, yeah. So he starts the car and goes in reverse like, oh, fucking bitch. And then he starts pulling back and we hear a thump and a little bit more of a crackle, too. Yeah. Because he gets outside and he notices he's ran over the cat.
Yeah.
Perfectly.
And we have to see the cat's body, which looks like some caved-in pumpkin.
Yeah.
It's like really disturbing.
Yeah.
And then that fucking son of a bitch, Mikey.
Is he rolling film still?
He's rolling film on this motherfucker. Because the guy, like, so the boyfriend, like, honks the horn and the girl comes out. He's like, you know, it was an accident. And she's like, just get out of here. You killed Rosie, the cat Rosie. Mm-hmm. They keep saying Rosie. For now on, you're going to hear the name Rosie, like, more than anybody else's name in this movie. That son of a bitch, Mikey, voyeuring over from that bush. Rolling film on this bitch. Then we go next day, Chris. We're in class. Mikey's not paying attention in class.
Oh,
okay,
yes.
This is when this movie is like, holy fuck, where are we going? Because like it started out crazy. Mm-hmm. But I'd say arguably this movie, like, you would think a movie like this is going to peak at the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, you get the cold open with the murders. You're like, well, how are we going to top that? Well, how about a little bit of the old self-mutilation? for a 9-year-old.
Yeah.
So he's sitting in class. The teacher's talking, and he's looking in his book, and he's looking at a picture of the sister.
Yeah, she's in like a Baywatch style bikini.
Yeah, on this boat, like on the lake, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like got a thumbtack, and he's just stabbing his arm with it over and over. I'm like, wait, what the fuck? I thought he was like maybe drawing something on his arm, because I'm like, no.
Yeah, I've been in class with someone like this in summer school once.
At 9 years old, though?
No, it was more like...
This is a little advanced for his age.
Yeah, more like 15, but it was still messy.
So he's just sitting there, like, stabbing him fucking self over and over. You been in a class like this?
Yeah, it was summer school, and, like, the kid behind me, he was, carving stuff into his arm, like, with a staple. Like,
did you ever just turn around and you go, hey, man, why don't you save it for after class,
Like, excuse me, you're getting it on my tests? Batch. No, the teacher noticed, and he was promptly removed with force.
Yeah, that's a good way to get out of class.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's stabbing his arm with this thumbtack, and then the teacher... She asks him a question and he gets it right, but she's still like, all right, come into class and show me the book. But he comes up there, she never sees the book.
No, which is going to be worse, seeing that book with that photo or the arm?
Oh, God, I don't know, because it would be like, well, does he have to turn it to that page? I mean, he could have,
No.
Yeah. But, yeah, she notices his arm. All of a sudden, we cut to later, and now the step-parents are there, or foster parents are there for a little old teacher-parent conference. And she's there with either the principal or the gym teacher, shirt off man.
Shirt man.
I'm telling you, I don't know what's wrong with your kid. I tried to get his shirt off. He won't do it. Kept asking me questions about this dead kid skeleton we got. It's a real kid, They're showing the dad a picture of the headless pilgrim, right? And they're like, we think he needs to see a psychologist. They start out with the pilgrim picture, by the way.
Yeah.
They don't at first mention the self-mutilation.
No, because they got to work up to it.
Yeah.
This is like, for them, and this is like, it's a 3-act show for them to demonstrate how bad their kid is.
They're like, evidence, yeah.
Exhibit
Here's our
A.
evidence, Exhibit A.
Yeah, and now the coup de grace.
But, like, the dad looks at the picture and goes like, so what's the big deal? I used to draw pictures like this all the time. And they're like, well, he also was mutilating himself. We didn't want to bring it up, but now we're forced to. And the dad's like, oh, well, I don't think it's that big a deal. And the teacher's like, no, he's a psycho. And because the teacher and the mom are friends, she's like, you're just trying to ruin my life, Sean. You're trying to ruin my life.
Like how? I don't get it.
She's like, I'm trying to help you.
Yeah, is this like some... like character twist to trying to add like, oh, the whole time she's just a bitch to me for no reason. She's like, you're just jealous of my son. You're jealous because your ovaries are shit too. Yeah.
So this turns into a cat fight of sorts. Mm-hmm. We go outside. Now the parents, they're just like, what are we going to do?
Right.
But they go home. So this is later. I guess the dad's not home at this point. I don't know when the hell this timeline happens, but basically they go home and like Mikey's all pissed because the mom sold fish because her job is a fish breeder.
Yeah.
I wonder what type of money that brings in.
Pennies to the dollar, Mike. I would assume by the size of the fish.
And Mikey's like, why did you sell my fish? They were mine. She's like, Mikey, this is my job. And he just like starts banging on the fish tank. And he's like, I hate you. I wish I never moved here. I was like, seems a little dramatic.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's too bad it's the 90s. He can't slap a kid anymore because Jesus Christ. He needs a little of the old 1-2,
Yeah. Closed fist.
Ring finger.
Finger.
We go to later, and like, so now the parents are discussing the issues, and the mom's like, maybe that shrink isn't such a bad idea. I'm telling you, he went wild on me, and the dad's like, boys will be boys
as usual.
And then Mikey, to make it right, somehow buys flowers or something.
Like, where did he go to get these flowers?
I have well, he probably murdered a lady off
screen.
Or
I'm going to say cemetery, or stolen from a grave.
I'd like to think he didn't just steal them from a grave. There was like an old man going to put his flowers on his wife's grave, and he's like, hey, old man, and like kicks him in the shin and takes his flowers.
No, I'd imagine he did that, then killed him.
And he goes, why don't you stop wasting your time and join her?
Yeah. He makes him dig the grave so he can lie down next on top of her.
He makes him dig the grave.
Now get in.
It was that same couple he gave the lady her purse back, you know?
Oh my God, yes. Yes.
Maybe when he gave that lady her purse back, he took a few bucks.
Sticky
Remember,
fingers.
she's like, "Oh, son, do you want a reward?" And he's like, "Oh no, that's okay," because he's like, he's already known he got a few dollars in his pocket. He's like, if she opens that wallet, it's gonna be a big problem.
Yeah.
Oh, don't worry, I already did. So he comes up with these flowers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the mom, this is a familiar scenario. She's in the tub because apparently all women that live in suburbia like to take mid-afternoon baths in this world. Like, because think about it, Chris. Like, every one of these women that's his mom is always, like, finding time during the day to take a bath. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, if you're a guy and you're taking a shower in the middle of the day, we know what you were doing. All right? There's no excuse.
She doesn't have an electronic next to the tub that's maybe battery operated.
Yeah, maybe a little waterproof,
So she's just sitting in the tub, rubbing herself a little bit.
And did you notice the water in this tub is blue?
Yeah, it's like bizarrely clear and blue. So we get a little nudity, which is disturbing.
It's like Disneyland water.
They got like a chlorine tub going. You're right. Yeah, it looks like water out of the Pirates of the Caribbean or something. He walks into this bathroom while she's in the tub, which, by the way, this bathroom, for some reason, it looks like it's in, like, the living room. Like, there's, like, a counter and, like, a fucking oven, and it's just very odd, the placement and space that this tub occupies.
It's quite opulent. I mean, do we know what the dad does?
I don't know. At one point, he says, "Oh, I'm coming home from a meeting,"
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
So he tries to deliver these flowers to his mom, and she's like, "Oh, yeah, Mikey, I'm kind of in the tub right now. Can you go put them downstairs? You got to knock."
Yeah.
And then Chris, he puts those flowers down, and he grabs this hair curler.
Yeah, a little hair curler, and he tries buttons on it.
Yeah, it is plugged in.
Yeah, and he's kind of waving it around, testing its aerodynamics. How far it could fly, maybe.
And the music's getting real intense.
Yeah.
And he looks at her and he goes, "If I were to throw this in the bathtub, it would work just like an electric chair." And the mom's like, yeah, can you go ahead and unplug that and go back?
Yeah.
Leave me alone. And he's like, all right. Like, unplugs it. Very anticlimactic.
Yeah.
But we know.
But it got you white knuckling it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Edge of my seat.
Mm-hmm.
So we go to Ben's, right? So Ben and Mikey are watching some war movie, and then the sister comes home, and Mikey's like, "Oh, I got you a new cat," and he gives her this stuffed cat. Because again, where's he get this money? Who the fuck knows?
Yeah.
But then, the boyfriend shows up, Chris, and Mikey comes out because he's like, "Well, I got to be the man now and confront this guy." And so she opens the door, and Mikey's like, "Isn't that the guy who killed Rosie?" I write, "Mikey's moving in."
Yep.
Like I said, Mikey likey, he knows what he wants.
Yeah.
Chris. So the sister and the boyfriend are like talking outside. He's getting on the old bended knee, begging for forgiveness.
It's quite a display. Never before have I seen something.
At first, I thought he was going to propose. I'm like, oh no, oh no.
Yeah. He went to the I fucked up aisle and got the best flowers he could find.
He begs for forgiveness. She agrees. And then we just see a shot of Mikey like formulating this plan in his mind. So then we go late night. The apparently microfiche room that we're in, right? In the days where we could look at microfiche.
Yeah.
And the teacher is looking through all these things, and then she finds an article about Mikey's dead family with spooky music. So she knows what's up, right?
Yeah.
So we go to Mikey's house, and he's watching all pissed as the sister and her boyfriend make out and throw each other into the spa with their clothes on. So it's night now, right? And they're like having a little wild night, getting a little ba-ba-ba in that spa.
The jacuzzi is bubbling, the tunes are roaring.
Yeah, that jizz koozie is bubbling. Okay, this is crazy. So Mikey picks up the phone, right? Mm-hmm. And I guess he puts it next to a VCR and presses play or something.
Yeah, and he's going to prank call the house with the sound of him murdering his parents in the background.
Yeah. And so, like, the phone rings, right?
Yeah.
And for the sister's house. Mm-hmm. And so she goes in, and we got this guy left in the spa by himself, right?
Yeah.
And she's, like, trying to know who's on the phone. Like you said, you can just hear the death of his parents in the background. Later on, though, she'll say that some pervert called the house. So I'm not sure what she thought.
Yeah, like maybe on set, the director's like, all right, you're going to hear something hot and heavy.
It was just the director. He's like, yeah, you're looking good. I like that shot of the movie where we see down your swimsuit. And she's like, what? Excuse me? Who is this? Wait, you did what? I like that shot when we got a shot of you changing in that room you didn't think we were rolling on. What? Wait, what's going on?
I made copies for the whole crew.
You signed the form.
Mikey likey.
Yeah, he just keeps saying it. Mikey likey. Mikey confronts that guy in the spa, and he's all like, you killed Rosie.
Oh, it's so good.
And the guy's like, hey, that was an accident, bro. And he goes, life is full of accidents. And he's like,
what's that supposed to mean?
What's that supposed to be, bro? And he goes, the radio. It's not safe. And he's like, why, bro? And then he just
a little footstep, like half a step.
He's so fucking cold-blooded, this kid.
And in goes the stereo. And now,
which is plugged in, by the way. So
yeah.
they was like, because I was watching at first, I'm like, well, it's just batteries. It's not going to do shit, right?
Yeah.
Nope, plugged in.
And in he goes, and the sparks are flying, as usual. And now, he's kind of petrified against this thing, but he's not going to be there for long, we find out.
Yeah, so the guy fries, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because he says, the radio, it's not safe. And he goes, why, bro? Pushes in the tub, and Mikey goes, he gives a little one-liner. He goes, because you could die. The one-liners are going to get better, by the way.
Yeah.
Towards the end of this movie, they're absolutely insane. So Mikey leaves. The sister comes out, and she tries to find the guy, right? And she's just... So Mikey leaves the scene, right?
Right.
But don't worry, he's got tape rolling. We always know. If there's a murder or something to be found, Mikey's rolling tape, Chris. He's got to watch it again. Once he gets old enough, he might be watching this with...
Mikey Jr.
No, I mean, he might be watching this, learning what goes on downstairs. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So Mikey leaves. The sister comes out, and she's, like, trying to look for the boyfriend. And she's, like, getting real pissed for no reason. She's like, hey, where are you? Where are you? I swear to fucking God, if you don't come out right now, I'm never going to fucking talk to you again in my whole fucking... And then she walks over to the spa. Uh-oh, a little French fry pops up.
What? Look at you just floundering around like that. You little fuck.
Yeah, what if she's all mad?
What the fuck, you fucking lazy motherfucker? Oh my God!
Yes, we do see Mikey videotaping, of course. We like see a shot of him, and he's like, hey.
Like, what does he save this for? How does this pay off? There's really no plant and pay for this
Chris,
thing. It's just voyeuristic. That's it.
I kind of think like the whole thing is that he just wanted a movie. You know what I mean? He wanted to make his own movie. He wanted to make his own Freddy Krueger.
All right.
So he likes to watch it.
All right.
So the teacher, we go to her, right? And so she calls that guy cop from the start of the movie, the real smart Scottsdale PD over there.
Still smart, tough cookie, you know?
So she's like, hey, I think that Mikey was the one who murdered all those people. Do you think so? And he's like, yeah, well, it makes sense. But he says, let me tell you something. That kid's squeaky clean. And I write, yeah, because he's 9.
Seriously, like, what are they expecting to find? Like, larceny?
Squeaky clean, yeah. He's a fucking 9-year-old, you dumb shit. Of course. I'm telling you, we don't have anything on this kid. Anything.
He's a ghost.
And then for no reason at all, he's like, but you know what? I'll go ahead and send over the police reports to a perfect stranger over the phone. Yeah. Fuck it. Give me your fax number.
Yeah.
Right, because he's an idiot. So the next day at school, the teacher comes in the lounge, right?
Right.
And the principal / gym teacher / shirt off man, he answers the phone, and then he like puts it down and is all somber, right?
Yeah.
And he tells the teacher, he pulls her aside, he's like, well, Mikey and Ben aren't going to be in school today. And she's like, oh, what happened? And he goes, well, there was an accident. Apparently a boy with his shirt off became a French fry in this hot tub. Turned it into a deep fryer, believe it or not. And the teacher's like, oh, my God. Did you say he was electrocuted? And then the music starts. She's like, I've been doing some research on Mikey. And the shit starts going down because the principal now all of a sudden like, well, I'm on board. This kid must be doing something. He's 9, but I don't trust him. He wouldn't take his shirt off in front of me. What kid at 9 years old won't take off their fucking shirt?
I like how they have more gusto and more instinct than all the Arizona PD. Like, let these people,
Scottsdale PD,
these untrained teachers, take it into their own hands. Like, what clues are the cops going over at this point? Like, how far has the investigation gone?
Nowhere, Chris. It's gone cold. The kid's
Yeah.
squeaky clean.
Yeah.
They can't find that bushy-haired man in the big brown car.
Yeah. No, oh, Mike, they did.
What if, like,
They
that was a
did.
scene that was cut out and they go, well, we found the guy. Well, we shot him. I mean, we didn't get any information out of it. Okay, it's a long story. We thought he had a gun.
Yeah.
You know how these things go.
He was resisting arrest. By resist, we mean he didn't hear us.
Yeah, apparently he's hard of hearing.
By hard of hearing, we really didn't say.
He came out with his hands up, but at the same time, we're like, maybe he has a gun on his back.
Yeah.
Oh, I think he's got a knife. I saw something glisten. Anyways, he's dead. We thought we solved it.
Yeah, case closed.
What are you going to do?
Another fine job by Arizona PD.
Mikey and the sister, right?
Yeah.
So they're up by the lake, right? And he consoles her, and he's prepared to make his move, okay?
Yeah.
So she's all upset. She's like, oh, my God, I can't believe this. You know, I loved him and all this. And Mikey looks at her and goes, what if it wasn't an accident? And she's like, I'm sorry, what? And he goes, maybe he was being punished for killing Rosie. And she just looks at him. She's like, you're sick. She finally changed the tone. She's like, Mikey, what the fuck is wrong with you? Don't say something like that.
Yeah.
And he's like, he goes and hugs her, right?
Yeah.
He hugs her like right in the crotch, which is weird. He like grabs a hold of her bare legs and shoves his head between them. And he's like, it's all right. I'm not dead. Now you can just love me.
Oh, Jesus.
And she's like, go home, please. I shouldn't have led this kid on, but at the same time, holy fuck.
Yeah.
So the sister, okay, this is amazing though. The sister like goes over after Mikey goes home, and then we see like 3 minutes of her slow motion throwing rose petals
into a fucking into a jacuzzi.
Could you imagine the mom coming home and be like, what the fuck are you doing? Clean that shit up.
There's just a dead guy in there.
It's gonna get in the fucking filter.
Yeah.
We already gotta clean the fucking pool. Now you're making it worse. Jesus fucking Christ, you kids.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, we should have never brought you home from that goddamn boarding school.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing but trouble. Ever since you got home, there's been dead bodies piling up. Little kids with boners running around the block. I don't know what the fuck to think of this. So the sister, she's throwing those rose petals in slow motion, but then she has some sort of epiphany, you know? And she's like, oh my God.
Yeah, because she hears like in her mind in flashback audio, like, maybe he wasn't an accident. He could love only me.
like a flashback of literally 10 seconds ago. So we go to Mikey's house, right? And the sister comes over to talk to the mom, and she's like, yeah, there's something very wrong with Mikey. She's like, look, I think he killed my boyfriend. Also, he's dangerous, and I think he's in love with me, and it's getting really creepy. And the mom's like, oh, just shut up. There's nothing going on. You're crazy. And then Mikey's watching Chris.
Yeah.
Like always. He's like got his head between the banister.
This guy's always watching from a distance. Always. You got to watch your back around this kid.
But you should know this by now.
Yeah.
Mikey likey. He watches, you know what I mean? He likes to watch, Chris. This is like a future guy that's going to get caught on a bus filming a woman. You know what I mean?
Like in 20 years, he's going to have the iPhone on like one of those like mirror, like mirrors on a stick.
And he's just walking around going, Mikey likey. So the sister leaves, right?
Yeah.
And Mikey slams his bedroom door in anger, and then he picks up the phone. We go to the school. So the teacher finally gets that report from the police office, you know, totally illegal, sending over a police report of an active investigation to a stranger. And she's like, oh my God. There was electrocution. It must be that fucking 9-year-old. So she tries to call up his house, but the phone's off the hook, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
So the teacher and the principal man, they leave the school and they go over to Mikey's house. She like runs out in the middle of the school day. You know, she's like, we gotta go. Which, by the way, at this point, like, is Mikey not going to school? Oh, yeah, he's out because of the boyfriend death.
Yeah.
So Mikey's at home and he's watching video of that boyfriend frying like a goddamn fry in that tub, right? And his mom comes in and she's watching him watch it. And she's like, Mikey, what are you watching?
Oh, it's America's Funniest Home Videos.
And she sits down in a chair almost like she's going to take a little look, you know. Go like, oh, wait, huh? Oh, my God.
Yeah.
And she notices, you know, the boyfriend's frying in it. And then, Chris, so Mikey's sitting on the floor.
Oh, yeah.
Right next to a hammer. Right?
Yeah.
And the mom's like, Mikey, can you put down that hammer? And he just kind of walks over, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, give me that hammer. And he goes, okay. And like, I guess smashes one of her fingers.
Yeah.
And she like runs away. And then he smashes this fish tank and like all this water and the fish go everywhere.
Now we're like full steam ahead. Like we're in fourth gear now as far as the intensity goes.
This movie's about to end.
Yeah.
And I write, okay, he's a fucking 9-year-old. I don't care if a 9-year-old has a hammer and he's running at you. Kick his fucking ass.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ. Take that chair and swing it at him. He's a goddamn 9-year-old.
Like, stick out your hand in front of him. Hold his head as he wails his arms at you. What the fuck's the problem? God.
Everyone's playing laser tag as adults, and we watched a grown man take a child by the head, hold him there, and then just shoot him over and over again. It's possible.
Was I there for that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was your birthday, wasn't it? Yeah. That's that when I did the platoon thing?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Chris shows up to play laser tag, and he's dressed like Willem Dafoe at a platoon.
Yeah. I mean fucking business, all right?
And at one point during the game, he got on his knees like Willem Dafoe and puts his hands up like the cover of Platoon, and he goes, no! And everybody's just shooting.
I hope they all learned a lesson that day.
The mom like runs downstairs. She's got this bloody hand, which by the way, it's funny because she goes like stops by the fridge to like grab some ice. Like, oh, well, it's not that much of a panic. He's only 9. Maybe he didn't mean it. And then she's going to call the police, right? Mm-hmm. She picks up the phone. It's off the hook, right? Yeah. And this is which starts to annoy me is like, apparently nobody in the 90s knew that if the phone was off the hook, you got to go find the one that's off the hook and hang it up. It's just as simple as that.
Yeah.
I mean, how many phones do you have in your house? They don't even have a cordless phone, by the way. They're all plugged in.
Yeah. Growing up, we had 2, and they were plugged in.
Yeah, so go fucking find it.
Yeah.
Also, why do they give Mikey a phone in his room? That to me is odd. Giving a 9-year-old a phone?
No, not even I had a phone in my room.
That is fucking dangerous.
No, I never had a phone in my room, ever. We had instant messenger.
She's looking around the house for Mikey, and then he stabs her in the arm with the sharp end of the hammer, right? And now there's like blood pouring out of her arm, and she finally pushes him over, and then she runs to her room, which I'm like, okay, you've pushed him over. Take that hammer and just fucking start going to town at this point. Just bash his head in, be done with it, and be like, you know what? This kid's been shuffled around. He's a real shuffler. We need a new one.
Look, it's defective. Look, his head's caved in.
Yeah, what's your return policy for if he's defective?
Now he's got a speech impediment.
She calls the husband, and this movie ends. She just goes, get the receipt.
Yeah.
So the teacher and the principal arrive at the house, and the teacher starts loading the gun outside the car, and I'm like, holy fuck, she doesn't know anything's going on yet. But it's like, I need full protection against this 9-year-old who may or may not be a murderer, but at this point, I'm like the fucking Flagstaff PD. I'm shooting first and asking questions later. You know what I mean? Put your hands up. She's loading the gun, right? They run into the house, and then Mikey... Okay, this is great. So the mom's in her room, Chris, and he's, like, gotten outside, and they have, like, these big glass windows to their patio, and he just smashes the hammer through one of them and, like, comes at her. And then she kind of pushes him over, right? And now, like, Mikey's starting to make, like, guttural growls at her.
Yeah, like the 7th layer of hell is coming out of him, finally.
Because he goes over to her, he's like, hey. And she pushes him over, and then instead of grabbing that hammer again, he grabs a shard of glass, like a sharp shard of glass, and he starts going towards her. And then, because she's a full-grown woman, a 9-year-old could take her, apparently. She, like, runs out of the room, like, all scared. And I laughed so fucking hard at this. She, like, backs up, and then Mikey charges at her with this piece of glass and tackles her through the fucking second-story railing. And they, like, fly through the railing of the stairs and, like...
land on the second layer of stairs, going up the stairs.
And so the teacher and the principal walk in, and they just see the scene as Mikey laying on top of his mom, and she's got, like, this giant piece of glass sticking out of her neck. The teacher, he leaves the... I'm sorry. So the teacher, like, has this whole mental breakdown, and she's like, oh, I need to get out of here. Yeah. They don't know... They haven't seen enough horror movies to know you got to check the pulse. Oh, but they do.
Yeah.
Because the principal, like, tries to take the pulse, and we know Mikey's a little trick.
Yeah. This was a good plan payoff, I'll have to admit.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh, well, I guess he's dead. The teacher's crying outside, and the principal goes to console her, right? And he takes the gun from her because she's holding the gun. He's like, what the fuck are you doing with a gun? And she's like, all right, well, I'm going to go inside. I got to call the police. Or he says he's going inside and he's going to call the police, right? So he goes inside, right? The scene's still the same. We still see Mikey laying on top of the mom.
Yeah. Don't disturb the bodies. In fact, I just wouldn't turn my back against this kid.
No.
Even if he's, like, seems dead, I don't trust him.
Yeah,
I'm going to bind him. I'm going to,
like, you couldn't have just put like one in the back of the skull just to make sure.
Put him down for good.
Like the old Marine way, you know. Kind of like 2 in the back of the head just to make sure.
The old double tap.
He picks up the phone, right, and he puts the gun down on the counter.
Yeah.
And we just see Mikey's bloody little 9-year-old hand take the gun. And then we see him hang up the phone because it's disconnected. And he's like, oh, I guess the phone doesn't work. Not like that's the sound of it being off the hook. And I should go find the other one. He's like, well, no phone, I guess.
Mine's dead because they didn't pay the bill.
And then we see Mikey's bloody hand put it back. And so he grabs the gun, right?
Yeah. Now, maybe Sean can help us out with this. Would you notice like a weight difference with, you know...
Sean, would you notice a weight difference between a loaded gun and an unloaded gun?
Like specifically in this movie, this revolver, right?
Yes, we'll get an answer from our ammunitions expert, Sean Thompson, over at looserounds.com. Provides all the gun information for us on this show, and we love it. Mikey's like way too sadistic to just use a gun. See, this is what's great about this kid.
He's very creative. He's like too easy.
This is what I was saying. Yeah, you know, look, he might kill people the same way sometimes, but he's like, I'm not a barbarian. I'm not using a gun. He's like, that's way too easy. I'm getting a little creative, you know. He likes that Rube Goldberg machine in the classroom, you know. That's how he does his kills.
That would have been amazing if he lured them all somehow back to the school into that classroom and made him like a death machine.
Oh, you know what, Chris? He should have had like a mousetrap board game type contraption for death. That would have been amazing. Like when the principal picks up the phone, like all of a sudden this marble starts rolling and he watches it. He's like, what the hell? And then it just like hits some catapult and an arrow goes through him or something. That would have been incredible.
It's like a lethal version of Home Alone.
That would have been amazing. The principal's like walking around, right?
Yeah.
And he sees, Mikey's gone. He's not on the mom anymore. And he turns around and Mikey's got a bow and arrow, right? And he's pointing at him. Yeah. And so the principal points the gun at him and then doesn't even really say much. He just starts pulling the trigger. Which I'm like, holy fuck. But Chris, there's no bullets in that gun.
Nope. Mikey, so devious.
So he shoots that guy with the bow and arrow in the stomach.
Yeah.
Which also, by the way, maybe move out of the way.
Because every time there's like any weapon like this, to just stand there and go, no!
Like, why doesn't he run for the door or
he's
something?
He's like drawing back the bow.
He's like, see if you can hit a moving target. And he just runs, you know?
Because I used to, you know, like when we play Star Wars Battlefront, I'm like zigzagging. I never
you got to
get hit.
zigzag. Like the DC sniper, you got to zigzag, you know? You remember when that guy was around and they were like, well, the best way to avoid getting sniped is to zigzag. And I would just imagine people walking around DC just zigzagging all over the place, you know? So, yeah, there's no zig, there's no zag. Yeah. He's shot right in the stomach, right? Mm-hmm. And apparently he's dead now. Also, Mikey, goddamn, got a lot of strength. Because that would take a hell of a lot of effort to put just a bow, like a bow and arrow, through a man.
Yeah, I didn't have that
as a 9-year-old.
Yeah, that much strength in my arm. When I did Boy Scouts, I could never.
Like, you think it's. And by the way, this isn't a compound bow.
Yeah.
This is just like a little toy bow. Dude, there's no way you could hit through a man.
No.
Like, he couldn't even hit through a goddamn bale of hay.
No.
Let alone a man's body. Like, would it be funny if it just kind of bounced off him? And he's like, all right, very funny.
And Mikey's like, shit.
Mikey goes over to the dead body, right? Mm-hmm. And he looks over at him. Here we get another headliner. He goes, I guess you were looking for these. Here you go. And starts dropping the bullets. Not all at once, one by one on the body.
I would have loved if when he dropped one of them kind of, you know, discharged and hit.
So then the teacher comes inside and she finds the principal dead, right? And then the front door slams behind her and she's all scared. And then Mikey comes at her with his slingshot and he starts shooting marbles at her, right?
Yeah.
And then amazing, absolutely amazing one-liner is Mikey looks at her and he goes, I want to thank you. You were the best teacher I ever had. But will you teach me one more thing? And she goes, what? And he's all, how to die.
Oh, love it. Such a good line.
And then he shoots that marble and it's like a POV, like you were saying when we watched the trailer, like a phantasm.
Yeah, this is straight up, oh God, so good.
And it just goes, I guess hits her right in the old death part of the face or something. Like, again, a child shooting a marble at you right in the forehead. Bing, boom, you know, you're dead.
Lights out.
Ding, dong, done. So then he drags the bodies out of the room, right? Okay, right. So now the dad calls. He's like coming home, right?
Right.
And then Mikey goes up. He gets his hair all nice, And at first I'm like, what's this about? So he's like brushing his hair, getting his good clothes on, his old Sunday best, you know?
Yeah.
And then he turns on the gas burners. Then all of a sudden we see him go to the sister's house. So he comes to the door all done up. He's got the old box of chocolates, you know.
It's like it's ready for a stiff night.
He just pops a bottle of champagne.
And a Viagra.
Stiff night. Yeah. She's like, can you leave? And then so like he goes into her room. He sneaks in there now, which again, the sister's room is very easy to access. And he's like, why don't you like me anymore? And she pushes him out of the room. She tells him to go home. Then she just lies on her bed, right? She pushes him out of her room and goes, go home. But then she hears something and she's like, oh my God, what is it? It's like, what the fuck do you think it is? Your room is not outside.
Right.
I mean, I know anybody can get in your room any way they need to.
Yeah.
Like, it's the most easy room in the whole house to access. There's so many fucking hidden traps to get into this sister's room. Like a goddamn pervert built this house. Like a pervert magician built.
I would have loved a scene where, like, the TV's on, then, like, the screen on the TV comes off and Mikey comes crawling through the TV.
Like the contractor's like, oh, the daughter's gonna live in this room.
Yeah. He steps out of the two-way mirror.
She goes around looking, right?
Yeah.
And then he's still in the house, right? But then we see like a marble run down the stairs, and she's like, I'm gonna get you, you little shit. Now this is amazing. She runs to her door, Chris, and taped on that door, holy fuck.
Yeah, it's a photo of her and Mikey in that boat picture that was in his book. Is now on the door, and he's superimposed himself in it. So he's found the time to take a picture of himself, get it developed, cut it out, paste it in there, and have it taped perfectly on this door.
Oh, absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
He's fucking put himself into the picture.
Pre-Photoshop.
And then she turns around, and he's got the bow and arrow, and he fires an arrow through the picture, and it sticks in that door.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden we see the dad comes home. Like, so he leaves the house. He doesn't kill his sister.
Yeah.
The dad comes home and Mikey meets him outside. And the sister from her window, apparently she doesn't know you can open it. She's just like, oh, like waving at him. And the dad just looks up and he goes, yeah, pretty girl. Oh, I didn't realize her window didn't have any blinds. I'll have to remember that for later.
Yeah, the contractors made sure that frame was all steel. You couldn't put anything in it if you tried.
What's that trap door over here?
It's like a real Alakazam built this house. You know what I mean?
So the dad and Mikey go inside. This is so incredible. The dad's like looking through the mail in the dark, but behind him we see the principal sitting upright in a chair with the arrow sticking through him.
Yeah.
And Mikey's like, oh, I got something to show you. And he's like, oh yeah, what? Okay, fucking amazing. So like we said, it must have been around Thanksgiving. Mikey has now, and this is like out of Hell Night. Okay.
Yeah. Oh God.
Because we saw something like this in another movie.
Yeah.
So Mikey has put all the dead bodies around the dinner table, each one sitting in a chair. So a 9-year-old dragging the weight of a full-grown man and 2 other women.
And have the strength for all of those people.
Yeah, and putting them on chairs.
Yeah. Do you think you should have been a scene where you had like a little skateboard rolling them on their backs from place to place?
It would be great to see the preparation.
Yeah.
But this is so funny is because not only are there the dead people, but for some reason, he's gone to the school. Chris, in the time that it took for the dad to get home, Mikey has gone to the school and stolen that child's skeleton. Like, now, I want to see the shot of him driving to school. Like, taking one of the cars.
Where the fuck did this thing come from?
Hitting some people on the way to the school, you know? He takes the fucking skeleton, brings it home, puts it in front of... Okay, now this is where it gets even better. There's a fucking full-cooked turkey on the table. A full-cooked turkey. Which, as you know, it takes fucking hours, right?
He's slaving away. He's regular Betty Crocker. That
so much fucking setup. There's a goddamn... And by the way, he's carved like a piece off of it, you know? It's very nicely set up.
I can see him like... just to make sure it's believable, like it's cooked.
The dad is very disturbed by this, but at the same time, he must be a little impressed, you know? Because he's like... Well, fuck, Mikey. I mean...
And cranberry sauce? Wow.
Jesus Christ. I would have liked it if Mikey was instead like, now it can be just you and me, Dad. Like, that would have been great if it was like, maybe he had like some attachment to the dad, and it was like the only guy that he actually liked or something, and he was like, now they won't bother us anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I think that would have been great, because the dad was always like, we should keep him, we shouldn't send him a psychologist. When he spies on them, he should have been like, oh, the mom's the problem, or the teacher and the principal and everybody else, but the dad is the good guy. I would have loved that if it was just like, he's like, now it can be just us, and maybe they sit down to a nice little Thanksgiving dinner, and the dad goes, hey, you pass that cranberry, and cuts the black. But no, Mikey runs into the room with a fucking Molotov cocktail, and he just goes, ah! Throws it down,
and the dad's like mid scream at the sight of all these people.
No! And then the whole house blows up.
It's a great miniature too.
Oh my! The whole house blows up. Like, it just goes.
Because he turned all the gas.
Which, by the way, the dad didn't come home and goes like, "Why does it smell like gas in here?"
Yeah, maybe he has no sense of smell.
Yeah. The whole house blows up, but then we just cut to later, and for some reason, like, Ben and his family are outside, like, their house blew up too. I didn't understand this.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Because they're sitting next to the charred house, and the sister's just like, the fireman's there, and he's like, oh yeah, we found all these bodies, and she's like, well, what about a kid? What about a child's body? And he's like, no, there's no kid. And she's like, are you sure? Are you sure? Then we just cut to black. We're in an adoption room.
Well, no, he does say that they found we found the skeleton of a 10-year-old boy.
Oh, so that's why he got that fucking kid.
Yeah.
I never realized that. I thought he just liked it.
No, he got it.
Oh my God.
He
outsmarted me.
Yeah, he staged his own death. So that the cops are like, well, we found the skeleton of a kid, and it's a real skeleton, so we can't deny it. Where else would you find a real skeleton of a kid?
Although it's very odd, there's no teeth. There's
no dental records.
It didn't have any teeth. Also, it didn't have any sort of skin or anything left on it. Just a full skeleton. We've never seen a body so badly burned. It was just the skeletal remains.
Maybe he was closest to the blast.
So she's like, are you sure? Cut to black. We go to an adoption agency.
Oh, yeah.
And this guy's like reading to these new parents. He's like, yeah, so we just found this kid on the side of the road, and we don't know where he came from, you know, but he needs a home.
Yeah, he's got amnesia. He doesn't know his name.
I'm like, so, okay. Like, the fucking adoption agency doesn't have, like, blood on
photographic
these kids.
records
like
of
photographic
people?
records.
Yeah.
I mean, fingerprints, anything on these children. So when you're adopted, they're like, oh, well, that kid's gone. Fuck him.
Yeah. That paper goes in the shredder.
Yeah, it's just. And so then all of a sudden they go like, yeah, his name's like, I don't know, it's like Jason or something. And then he comes out and it's Mikey.
Yeah.
And he's like, by the way, he comes out of like a dark closet. This is amazing. With the guy just like, all right, no, kid, just stay in that dark closet. And right when I'm about to say, when I say your name, I want you to open it and then come out and say your line.
Now let's practice.
Because Mikey walks out of a fucking dark closet and he goes, hi. Are you my new mommy and daddy? Dun, dun, dun.
Are you going to love me?
That because what you didn't see is these right other people were like, well, we don't want a kid that's been shuffled, we want a fresh kid, we want a new kid, we don't want one of these damaged goods. Like, oh, we got the closet kid for them.
The closet's special.
Recommendation?
Unwavering. Yes.
Yeah.
I would. This is on a not to be missed.
This is one I was like, we got to do this one before you leave, Chris, because this one is one I just remembered like a couple days ago, and I'm like, oh my God, we got to do this movie.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Oh, I loved it. It was great. It's always a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's as far as killer kids movies go, I think this is one of the pinnacles. Like, this might be the best of the best.
Yeah.
The Good Son is good, but it's no Mikey.
No.
I think if Macaulay and Mikey met each other, Macaulay get his ass kicked.
Oh, you get his ass handed to him. There would be Macaulay's head on a platter. There would be a scene with Macaulay like a marionette, like a live marionette.
Mikey using him like a fucking marionette.
Yeah.
There wouldn't even be a scene where he's hanging off a cliff. Mikey would have pushed him off that cliff long ago.
Yeah, that's like first 5 minutes.
He would have pushed him off the cliff while having a noose tied around his neck. And then he would have had some little one-liner.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm glad you enjoyed it. You can see this movie on YouTube. That's the only place you can see it unless you're willing to spend, like we said, $40 to $100 on a used copy on Amazon. But don't buy a used copy because you're not buying it from the original people, so they're not getting the money anyways. Hopefully somebody picks this up for distribution at some time. YouTube for now, I guess.
Agreed.
Or go find it on VHS somewhere. That's
used
where I
video
got
stores, you can still find them.
Yeah, you could. So you hear that sound?
Oh shit, I do. Oh boy. If this is the first time you are hearing this program, we always harken back to the first movie we ever covered, 1977's The Van, starring Stuart Goetz and Danny DeVito. A story about a high school redhead ginger little shit who saves up all his money from the car wash to buy a big garish yellow rape van, which he uses to lure women in of all ages, of all, you could say, promiscuities, if you will. And with the help of his his boss, Danny DeVito, Andy, we always like to think, what schemes would these two get up to in these films? And this week, for this film, I got an idea.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah.
I do too. I hope we don't have the same one.
Oh, okay.
Let's hear it. Go,
so
Chris.
after the boyfriend is knocked out, is out of the picture.
Knocked out, Chris. He's a fucking French fry, this guy.
Well, you know what I mean. He's Mikey has knocked him off the plane of our existence, so to speak. And so the straight arrow is idling nearby, knowing, because in the obituaries in the newspaper, Bobby's looking at, people who have died that are his age, going, if someone's dead at that age, like, they've got a girl left behind, like, she needs some comforting. And so Bobby tracks down the boyfriend.
DeVito and Bobby are constantly going through their crime reports, looking for vulnerable girls.
Yeah, they go through the sheriff's blotter.
Oh, Bobby, this is a good one. This is fucking gold. Are you ready to drive to Arizona this weekend?
Yeah, this one's a whopper. So they go and they pull a straight up arrow to wherever she's hanging out, like the park. And the van door opens. She's like, you know what? I just need to forget. She gets in the van with Bobby and Mikey. Bobby's hanging around. This is a scene we don't see. It's deleted for reasons. People have time. So Bobby is courting her, and Mikey doesn't like this. So he goes into the straight arrow and sees Bobby testing out the waterbed. Really, really good. Mikey's impressed. Like, oh, wow, it's a nice toaster. And Bobby's like, yeah. Want to see how it works? Mikey's like, sure. So Mikey turns on the toaster, and as he walks with the toaster over to Bobby on the waterbed, Mikey, with his other hand, stabs the waterbed. As water spurts out, drops the toaster connected to power onto the waterbed, electrocuting Bobby, which is nothing left but a skeleton and a big orange poof. Above film.
I love it, Chris.
Yeah.
We don't know when this movie takes place, do we?
No, we don't.
What would happen if all of a sudden we learned that this boy was we know he's a shuffler, right? Eventually, he's shuffled over to a family in Los Angeles.
Oh.
He grows up. He graduates from high school.
Yeah.
He was too young now, but we find out that Mikey, well, he's a redhead. And eventually, he changes his name so many times.
Yeah.
And this time, you know how he likes those names that end in Y?
That's true.
He changes it to Bobby. And instead of killing people because he's grown out of that, he's now more into van culture and raping the women. He's like, I don't have to kill the women. I can just
because I like it when they're still warm. I've matured as a boy. I've matured.
But he also still wanted the scenario of having water and electronics in the same place. So that's why he's got that toaster in the back of that van. Now, Chris, before I end this, I gotta say, somebody tweeted at us the greatest thing that I have ever seen.
Okay.
Chris. Okay, a listener, a friend on Twitter, goes by the name Michael Tanner, at Mike is Ernie, okay?
Okay.
Tweeted at us, Chris, that he found something that we might be interested in. Well, apparently, in the 70s, they made toys of vans. Somewhere out there is a die-cast metal version of the straight arrow.
Yeah.
It's a real thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible. I could not believe it. I have a picture here to show you. There you go. You can see it right here in the ad, right in
Yeah,
the middle.
I've seen that ad. I
The
remember.
straight arrow.
Yeah, that's awesome.
If anybody has the straight arrow van, we will buy it from you.
Yeah.
Just please let us know. I've been scouring eBay and everywhere else, and I can't find any of these. But holy shit, do we need that for Grindbin? We need that in the Grindbin studios. So,
Yeah.
absolutely incredible.
That would get its own microphone.
Yeah, we'll ask it opinions. So, we're running a little long. Otherwise, I'd do a WWBD, but maybe I will. I imagine if Bronson got called in to see this kid, Chris.
Yeah.
Could you imagine Bronson going and he gets a phone call from a panicked person, and they're like, "This 9-year-old's killing people." He goes, "He's a what?" He just goes over and we know how Bronson works. He loads that gun before he goes inside.
Yeah, it's already cocked.
He sees the kid. He just sees Mikey. No, I'm sorry. He walks inside. He sees a kid, and he just opens fire. And they're like, "That wasn't the kid." Oh.
That was a witness.
He had a gun. So he shoots the witness.
He reached for his back pocket.
Well, thanks again for listening to another episode of The Grind Bin. If you want to get in touch with us, grindbin@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter @GrindPod, Instagram, Facebook,
true.
everywhere else. And I have to say, we've been getting more reviews on iTunes, and our promotion still stands that if you rate and review this show 5 stars on iTunes, we will review your movie. And guess what, Chris?
What's that?
Somebody has left a review for this show on iTunes, and they wrote in their description what movie they want us to cover. So let me just pull this up for you here. All right. Oh, here we go. No Wave 77. He left us a review. Bad movies, great times. And he said, "I hope they do more punk exploitation films like Surf 2. There was no Surf 1, which that immediately piqued my interest. Or Class of 1984, which we did mention on an episode."
Right. Yeah, we did.
No Wave 77, thank you so much for the review. In a future episode very soon, we will be covering your movie. Thanks for the review.
So good.
So, Chris, that's about it for the bin,
Yeah.
except for, a little bit of special news.
Oh.
Next week, we're almost at a year for this show,
That's
believe it or not.
true. The Grindiversary is coming up.
But what we're calling...
That's right.
The Vaniversary. So next week, in our 2-part Vaniversary special, we will be covering Malibu Beach, which is the unofficial sequel to The Van, which is the first episode we ever covered on this podcast. And then at the end of that episode, take a listen, because we have a real special surprise for everybody.
And if you would be so kind to click that rectangular subscribe button in iTunes, we would be greatly appreciative. And also, if it's in Google Play, go ahead and click that too.
Yeah, whatever it is there.
Yeah. Bobby, throw the curling iron in the pool.
Hey, Bobby, I got the money.
Yeah, I made the team. But you're a hooker.
Get that goddamn thing out of your mouth.
Spooky ain't got no field coach.
Hello, pizza man.
We're gonna play a little game, baby.
I just love fun and games. Get a little girl all hot and horny.
This is Los Angeles. You could have been decent once in a while. And maybe Daddy wouldn't have had to kill himself because he couldn't get it up anymore.
What a shame.
Come on, just step on the gas before we get creamed.